RLD. The CBS Radio Mystery Theater presents... Come in. Welcome. I'm E.G. Marshall. Welcome to the sounds of suspense, to the fear you can hear. Relax and listen to the strange tale of a strange man, though no more strange than anyone who has suffered what you might call a mutilation of the soul. And who of us has not, at one time or another, suffered such a mutilation? What means did we use to restore ourselves? How quickly did we recover? How well did we heal? The answers vary even as we vary. One man's answers are revealed, we trust, in the story which follows.
I'm cold.
So am I. It's the darkness I mind the most, not to be able to see you.
Oh, touch me.
That would help. My God, where are you?
Right here. Right here.
I can't find you. Keep talking. Keep talking.
I'm here.
I can't. Oh, here you are.
Oh, darling, don't let go.
Never. Oh, never.
Our mystery drama, The Deadly Hour, was written especially for the Mystery Theater by Elspeth Eric and stars Norman Rose. It is sponsored in part by Anheuser-Busch Incorporated, brewers of Budweiser. I'll be back shortly with Act One.
In 1919, someone had a big idea. Let's help youth understand big business by starting them in small businesses of their own. And Junior Achievement was born. Each group elected a board of directors, chose a product, set up a production line, sold stock, and went into business. That year, 314 students made and sold products and learned the business of business. Today, Junior Achievement has grown to nearly 200,000 members. Junior Achievers are designing and marketing their own products and services, from cutting boards to printing. They're organizing sales efforts, writing marketing plans, calculating profit and loss. Running these small businesses helps Junior Achievers understand how big business works. Support Junior Achievement, where youth learns the business of business. Call your local Junior Achievement office.
Hello.
Hello, Mrs. Ken Driggs of Salt Lake City, Utah.
Yes?
Mrs. Driggs, my name is Ted Brown, and I'm calling for Campbell's Soup. And we're calling ladies in the Salt Lake City area asking if they'd like to sing the Campbell's Soup jingle.
Come on, you're kidding.
No, honest, I'm not. And if you sing the Campbell's Soup jingle for me, why, I'd love to send you a case of Campbell's tomato soup.
All right, but if I sing it and you don't send it, I'll be awfully disappointed.
Well, you just sing it and you see.
Okay, goes, good, good. That's what Campbell soups are, good.
That was just marvelous, really. And we're going to send you a case of Campbell's tomato soup.
You're kidding.
I'm not kidding. How cold does it get in Salt Lake City, by the way?
Below zero sometimes. But if you like skiing, you don't mind.
Uh-huh. When it does get cold, good hot Campbell's soup warms you up.
Yeah, that's right.
Now, you enjoy yourself, you hear?
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
The preceding recorded message was selected from random phone calls. A person who seems strange, we call grotesque, incredible, not to be believed. We make a feeble effort to deny that he could exist. But he does exist. There he is before our eyes in all his strangeness. We do not believe in him because we do not know him, because once we know, we will have to believe. And this can be a long and painful process. Listen now to the story of Martin Jerome. See if you can believe it.
Mr. Jerome, I only consented to see you because your letter sounded quite desperate. As a rule, I only see patients on referral. But your letter, may I read it to you? Perhaps it will help us to get started. Last night, I heard you being interviewed on a radio program. In the dark of my room, in the darkest hour of the night, I thought, here is a man who can help me to solve the awful predicament in which I find myself. I enclose a stamped, addressed envelope for your reply, since I have no phone. I am counting on you. Sincerely, Martin C. Jerome. Well, Mr. Jerome, the hour is passing, and I don't want you to waste your money. Take your time. Take your time if you have difficulty in talking. I'll wait.
Doctor.
Did you say something, Mr. Jerome?
Doctor, you...
Yes.
You are the first person I have spoken to in 25 years.
You said 25 years?
Yes.
I begin to understand your silence. Can you tell me what drove you into this silence?
I married a woman.
Yes.
The most desirable woman in the world. My Helen. My adored one. I never thought that an insignificant man like myself could even aspire to possess such a woman. And the day she said those words to me, I could scarcely believe my ears.
You're a dear, Martin, and I'd love to marry you.
Helen, I can't think why you'd want a man like me.
Because you're sweet. Let's get married right away. What about next week?
The world changed completely for me. Everything became important, immediate. The sun shone just to keep me warm, and the breeze blew to make me cool. Me, Martin Jerome, me. I had been so blessed.
Yes.
It was a beautiful wedding. Helen had a great deal of money, and I was fairly well off. Many people came to the church, and even more to the reception. People of prominence. I knew them all. All but one. He was tall. Unusually tall. As I am unusually short. He was handsome, as I am not. He was charming, self-assured, very much at his ease. All of which I have never been. You couldn't help noticing him. Helen, who's that very tall man talking to your mother? The pale man with the black mustache?
I've no notion, love. It's probably someone Mother invited.
Good looking, isn't he?
Sort of. Come on. It's time to cut the cake.
We sailed for Europe. My head was swimming with visions of the life I had embarked on. The good life, the beautiful life. One night on the ship, we were at dinner. Helen, look over there. To your right, against the wall, sitting by himself. Isn't that the man who was at our wedding?
500 people at our wedding, love.
He's getting up from the table. The tall man, black mustache. Your mother must have invited him, you said.
Well, then I guess she did.
After dinner, we danced for a while. Then Helen said she had a headache, but I should stay and enjoy myself. Well, I tried, but I couldn't enjoy myself without her. I was too much in love for that. I watched the dancers for a while, drank a brandy. I managed to kill an hour, and then I went down to our stateroom. Helen wasn't there. When I stepped back out into the corridor, there she was, coming out of another stateroom about 6 doors from ours.
Darling.
You weren't in our room. I didn't know what to think. You said that you had a headache.
I've been doing a little detective work. You were so anxious to know who the tall man was. Well, I found out. He's not precisely a friend. His mother came to the wedding and dragged him along.
Helen, you were in his stateroom.
I ran into him in the corridor, and he said to come in for a nightcap. Let's go to bed. Our stateroom is much nicer than his, by the way.
We went to Paris. And then because she loved to ski, we went to St. Moritz. She was very good on skis. Effortless as a bird flying. I watched and watched and never got tired of watching. And then, one day, there he was again, the tall man.
I've got to catch the ski tow. Wait for me.
Helen, he's here.
Who's here?
The man from the wedding, the man from the ship.
Oh, is he here? Oh, so he is. Well, I'm off. Wait for me.
After St. Moritz, we came back to the city and moved into an apartment. I went to work. We made friends. Helen grew lovelier every day, and she was her loveliest the day she told me that we would have a child.
Tell me about that.
Well, Helen was very, very light-hearted, very casual about the prospect, but I...
Yes. How did you feel?
Well, it's hard to tell you, Doctor. Oh, I know every man is what, excited, happy, I don't know, but I felt bowed down, Doctor, actually crushed by my own good fortune. That a man like myself, so petty, so pitiable, should be given a child by a woman like Helen.
Have you always thought of yourself as petty and pitiable?
I have.
Why?
Because I am.
Go on, please.
I could scarcely concentrate on my work once I'd heard the good news. Helen was on my mind all the time. And one day, I suddenly couldn't bear being in the office, couldn't bear being anywhere except where she was. And I rushed home. I suppose you know what I found.
I think you'd best tell me.
I hurried to the bedroom, looking for her. I burst through the door. And in the bed, our bed, there he was.
The man from the wedding.
From the wedding, from the ship, from the ski tow. He looked at me, standing in the doorway. He said not a word, but his red lips smiled. And then the bathroom door opened, and Helen took a step into the room. Helen, all scrubbed and fragrant. She was wearing something pink. I think it was made of lace. And Doctor, she smiled too. While I stood in the doorway, she smiled. And then she said, "Well, love, now you know." And the world rocked, and I felt as though I had died, but I hadn't. I was still standing there. Doctor, I've never told what I just told you to anyone before.
Not to anyone?
No. It wasn't simply grief that I felt. It was my pride that had been destroyed. My marriage to Helen had built up a sort of pride. I thought, if she loves me, then I must be something. Oh, it is not a good thing, Doctor, to build your pride on what other people think of you. Or seem to think.
No, it isn't.
So I cleared out. That was 25 years ago. And I have not said a word to anyone until today.
How have you lived?
Well, I had a business, import and export. I kept the business, but I dismissed my staff. I had the phone removed and made arrangements to conduct my affairs by mail. I took a one-room flat with a little kitchen, a bed, a chest of drawers, an easy chair with an ottoman. And to one side of the chair, my hi-fi stereo set and my records. To the other side, my books. After my work, I'd sit in my easy chair with my feet on the ottoman, listen to my records and read. Only writers would, however. I'd read till about 10 o'clock, eat a little something, and go to bed. The next morning, go to work all day, and do the same thing all over again.
No relaxation of any kind? No enjoyment?
Well, vacation in the summer. I shut down the office for 2 weeks and take my vacation.
Where do you go?
I take a train. 2 trains, actually, and a bus to a little town on the coast called Marsh Hills. You probably never heard of it.
I'm afraid I haven't.
No one has. And there's no reason why anyone should.
And you spend your 2 weeks in Marsh Hills?
Oh, no. No, I merely stable my horse there.
You have a horse?
About 15 miles from Marsh Hills, Doctor, close to the sea. There's a cave hollowed out of the rock by the waves. And when I get to Marsh Hills, I arrive every year on the same day. They have my horse ready for me, and I ride the 15 miles to the cave, and there I spend my vacation.
In a cave? For 2 weeks?
Well, I walk. I canter my horse on the beach. I gather what edible herbs there are growing in the rocks. I boil them. They're very tasty, really. And at the end of 2 weeks, I return my horse to the stable and take my bus and the 2 trains back to the city.
And you've lived this way For 25 years.
Oh, yes. But, Doctor, last summer something happened. I arrived in Marsh Hills as always. My horse was waiting for me, as always. And we started off at a walk for the cave by the sea. There is always a certain excitement when I begin to smell the sea. And I know that soon I shall be out of sight and sound of any human being. There will be only the sea, the sun, the wind, and my cave. It is the most thrilling moment of the year for me. I suppose it's the only one. Soon I will have my solitude. At last, I'm on the sand. My horse feels the excitement as I do. I feel him extend himself. And as we round the last bend in the shoreline, I see it. I see it, my cave, my refuge. But last summer, yes, I pulled my horse up at the entrance to the cave. I sat listening to the rhythms of the ocean. And then, all at once, I heard a sound. A sound that I'd never heard before in that deserted spot. And the sound, Doctor, was coming from inside my cave. Never had I felt such anger. I was faint with hatred. I dismounted and I crept to the side of the cave where I knew it sloped to the ground. Quietly climbed to the roof. I found a tiny chink in the stone, no more than 1/8 of an inch wide. I put my ear to it. Beneath me I heard laughter and tender words and all the sticky, silly sounds that lovers make.
Are you my girl?
Oh, so much your girl.
How much?
This much.
I can't hardly see how much is this much. It's too dark in this place.
Then come here. Oh, darling, darling love.
They were kissing. They were using my sacred sanctuary for lovemaking. I almost fell from the roof of the cave. I struggled to stay where I was, and my feet dislodged a shower of stones.
What was that?
Sounds like a rock slide.
Yes, some rocks in front of the entrance. Lots of them.
Hey, maybe we better move them.
Oh, we can still get out. Let's stay a little longer. I love this place.
All right.
I climbed down. My brain was on fire. My whole body was on fire. I had never felt such hatred as I felt then. Not since... Well, Doctor, you know when, I've told you. I took hold of a big boulder. Yes, these skinny arms went round it. This puny body pushed and shoved till it stood against the mouth of the cave, was tight against the mouth of the cave. I heard the voices of the lovers, fainter now from inside.
George, it's really dark. Darker than before.
Aaron, there's no light at all.
I had sealed them in.
What is darkness? It is the state from which we emerge, and it is the condition to which we return. We come from the darkness of the womb. We leave for the darkness of the tomb. In between is light and life. I'll be back shortly with Act 2.
Some research experts say you can't taste the difference between beers. Well, if they're right, then Anheuser-Busch wastes a barrel of time Beechwood aging Budweiser. Only they don't think so. Brewing beer right does make a difference. And they're betting a bundle that you can taste the difference in Bud. When it comes to brewing Budweiser, the Anheuser-Busch choice is to go all the way because they still care about quality. Look at it this way. If the Bud people have a choice between what some experts say and what beer drinkers say, well, you'd better believe they'll go with you beer drinkers every time. When you say Budweiser, you said it all. Anheuser-Busch, St. Louis.
I love you.
I love you.
Love you.
Love you.
Love you.
Love you.
That's why Hallmark makes over 1,000 different kinds of Valentines to get everybody's message across on Valentine's Day.
I love you.
Let Hallmark say you care enough to send the very best on Valentine's Day, Thursday, February 14th. That's Thursday the 14th.
Marvin Jerome, 50 years old, has not uttered a single word to a living soul in 25 years. But now, in the office of an attentive psychiatrist, it seems the dear man can't stop talking.
After I had pushed and shoved the big rock into the entrance to the cave, Doctor, I stood for a few seconds, panting from the exertion and oppressed by the silence. There was only the sound of the wind and the water. I thought of the lovers locked inside. What were they doing? What were they saying? I felt that I must hear their voices again, as though their words which had driven me near to madness were essential now to keep me sane. I scrambled back to the roof of the cave and put my ear once again to the narrow crack through which I could hear them.
George, there was a little light before, now there's none.
More rocks must have fallen.
I didn't hear them. I heard something that didn't sound like rocks falling.
Come on, we've got to clear the entrance.
Come where? I don't know where the entrance is anymore. It's so dark.
Well, take my hand. I think I know which direction.
I can't even see your hand. Don't you have a match?
I may have, boy. Yeah, I have a few.
Well, light one.
I will.
Oh, went out.
Now, don't panic.
Light another. We've got to get out of here.
Just don't panic.
All right, now, careful. Be careful.
I am being careful.
Oh, darling.
Huh?
No, I found the one that went out. It was right by my foot. Let me light it from yours.
Yeah, good girl.
All right, George. There's the entrance.
Don't let your match go out.
Don't you let yours.
Hey, look, see? Just a whole bunch of stones. Come on, let's start clearing them away.
Oh, both matches went out.
That's all right. We know where we are. We're right by the entrance. Come on, let's get started.
George.
What, darling?
We'll get out, won't we?
Of course we'll get out. Now, keep working. Don't stop.
At my listening post atop the cave, I heard them, so kindly toward each other, so reassuring, so united in their purpose. I pressed my ear closer to the crack in the cave's roof. I was frantic to hear every word.
George, it isn't getting any lighter. Shouldn't it start to get lighter?
Yes, it should.
Oh, why doesn't it?
How should I know why? I'm sorry, darling.
Oh, that's all right.
Marion.
What, darling?
We've cleared all the stones away.
But there's no light.
No. None.
Why not? Why isn't there?
Because there's something huge. A big boulder, I think, up against the entrance.
Oh, move it.
I will. It's heavy. It must be huge.
Well, how did it get there?
It fell from someplace, Lord knows where.
Can't you move it?
I'm trying.
Let me help.
Put your shoulder up against it.
That's what I'm doing. Can't you see?
No, I can't see. Do you think I could? Can you see?
I'm sorry. Forgive me.
All right, let's try together now. 1, 2, 3. Shove!
I don't think we moved it at all.
No, not a centimeter.
Darling, you know what the trouble is? We're tired, that's all. Clearing away all the stones just took our strength. I haven't had anything to eat since this morning. We need to rest for a little while. Then we'll be able to move it.
Oh, you're probably right.
So let's lie down right here by the entrance so we know where we are.
First, I want to light a match.
Why do you want to do that?
I want to look at your face.
Oh. Light.
This is the face I love.
This is the face I love.
It's dark again.
No matter. When we wake up, we'll find our way into the light. Sleep now, my darling.
The thought of them lying there. No, the vision of them, for I could see them. The image was so strong. The two of them pressed close, their arms entwined, their hands clasped. The two young bodies fitted so tightly together against the dark and the cold. The nameless memory crowded in on me, and I knew what it was I remembered and would not name. And it was love. Love. It was love that I remembered. I'm sorry, Doctor.
For what?
For crying like this.
If there is anything to be sorry for, it's that it took you so long to cry.
All I really know is that when that word came into my head...
What word?
The word love. I shrank from it as though it was tainted, poison.
Yes. And then?
Then, Doctor, I climbed down, I got on my horse and rode back to Marsh Hills. I took the bus and the 2 trains back to the city.
You what?
I opened up my office. I took the dust covers off the furniture in my flat, and I resumed my old routine.
Didn't you ever think of them?
I'd shut them out of my mind, just as I'd shut them in the cave.
You didn't worry about them or anything?
Well, they had each other.
Mr. Jerome, I have to tell you, I can't help being shocked. Forgive me. Go on.
Well, after a while, the old feeling of loneliness came back. You see, I missed them.
Missed them?
Yes, it may sound strange.
Indeed it does.
I began imagining what they might be saying to each other. I couldn't know for sure, of course, but I imagined.
I'm cold.
So am I.
I'm hungry.
I can't find you. Keep talking. Keep talking.
I'm here.
I can't. Oh, there you are.
Oh, darling, don't let go.
Oh, never. Never.
I invented their conversations, of course, but I was fairly sure my inventions were accurate, or nearly so.
You simply left them there.
For 2 weeks. And then I was suddenly seized with the desire to hear their voices once more, before they were silent forever. I closed the office, closed the flat, took the 2 trains and the bus to Marsh Hills. They were surprised at the stable to see me back again so soon, of course, but they saddled my horse and I set off for the cave. The old excitement came back when I started to smell the salt air. There was the familiar thrill which I had looked forward to each summer for 25 years, till they had invaded my kingdom by the sea. Such a tiny kingdom, a cave no bigger than a tool shed, with no comforts, no conveniences, and they had taken it away from me. On the sand at last, we round the last bend, and I see it. My cave, my refuge. And even from a distance, I can see that the big boulder still stands wedged into the entrance.
What did you do then, Mr. Jerome?
I dismounted. I climbed to the roof of the cave. After all, I had made the long and rather arduous trip to hear their voices once more, if I could. I crouched down. I put my ear to the narrow crack.
And were they still alive?
Oh, yes. Yes. Weak, of course, but alive. Oh, yes, they were still alive.
Are you all right, George?
Yes. Are you?
I'm all right. If we only had something to eat. Anything.
Don't think about it.
You think there's any use trying to move that big rock again?
No.
I guess you're right.
Well, we've got about a third of the energy we had to start with. We gotta save whatever we've got.
Save it for what, George?
I don't know.
I know. For when somebody finds us, it's possible, isn't it? For somebody to find us?
Of course.
Oh, George, I'm thirsty.
Can you find the place where that trickle of water runs down the side?
I think so.
Feel along the cave wall to your right.
It's so black in here.
You should be there by now.
Light the match.
No, it's the only one we have.
George, wasn't there sort of a ridge, an indentation where the water trickled down in some moss?
That's right.
Well, I think I found it.
Oh, good.
There's no water.
There must be.
There isn't.
Then you're in the wrong place.
Then you find it. You're so smart.
I know exactly where. It's about here. I remember this. It ought to be right here.
Yes, it ought to be, but it isn't. It ought to be, but it isn't.
Marion, shh.
There's no food. Now there's no water. What will become of us?
Doctor, I wanted to call to them. I wanted to say, wait for rain, because as soon as a good rain came, the water would start to trickle down the cave wall again. But I couldn't speak. I don't know why I couldn't. Do you?
I have some notion, yes.
Why couldn't I?
I'd rather you told me the rest of the story first.
All right, Doctor, if you say so. Well, they must have gone to sleep after that. I think they probably slept a lot. I know that I didn't hear anything more after that until much later.
I wonder what day it is.
Well, it was Saturday when we came down here, wasn't it?
Yes.
Well, it must be, I don't know.
We've been here a week, I think.
More than that.
Much more?
About a week and a half.
Oh. You think it's Wednesday? Or...
I think so.
If it's Wednesday, then we've been here 11 days.
Something like that. What difference does it make?
I'd just like to know, that's all. Oh, don't be angry, darling.
Doctor, I had the craziest impulse to whisper to them, it's Tuesday. I almost laughed. Why do these ludicrous ideas come into our heads at the weirdest moments of our lives?
Perhaps it wasn't as ludicrous as you thought.
Of course it was. I was there to watch these people die. Listen to them die is more like it. And I still wanted to tell them what day of the week it was. If that's not ludicrous, I don't know what is.
Tell me, what happened next?
Well, I went to sleep on the roof of the cave. After the sun came up in the morning, I got a sandwich out of my saddlebag and a flask of brandy and sat on the sand for a while, watching the ocean. And then I went back to my listening post.
George.
Yes?
I'm going to try walking around a little. Oh, Lord. This darkness is driving me mad.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
Let me have a match.
No.
Oh, give it to me.
I won't.
What was that?
I heard something.
I stumbled over something.
Well, look for it. Fish
That's
around.
what I'm doing. Got it.
Well, what is it?
Feels like a little sort of a pan.
Pan?
Well, about 5 inches wide.
What?
Enamel, I think. Feels like enamel. It's a little pan to cook things in, the sort of thing campers might use.
Wait. That means somebody's been here before.
And that means Whoever was here could come back.
Well, somebody else could. I mean, this cave is a place people come to. We're not the only ones. We're not the first. Other people have...
They'd stumbled across the little enamel pan I had used to boil my herbs in. I couldn't bring myself to speak to them, but I took a packet of matches, the cardboard kind, and I wrote on it, I am here. Just that. I am here. And I slipped it through the crack in the roof of the cave.
Three little words. I am here. I suppose the most cherished trio of words in our language consists of I love you. But surely there are times of trouble when I am here is even more welcome. I'll be back shortly with Act 3.
And now another tale of the ball and chain. At Kellogg's Special K presents
Last Tango in Pittsburgh.
There I was at Raoul's all-night tango lounge.
My little orchid, will you tango with me?
It was Raoul.
You're a splendid dancer. But what was that?
Was what?
That sound effect.
Oh, I'm a few pounds overweight, and this ball and chain points out how my extra weight can get in the way.
I'm pointing you back to your chair.
Our heroine decided to lose that extra weight. She exercised and ate smart at every meal, starting with a Special K breakfast. A bowl of Special K, skim milk, tomato juice, and coffee. It's less than 240 calories, 99% fat-free, and 100% delicious. After a while, she was rid of the ball and chain and back at Raoul's.
Darling, you're looking fantastic.
What a happy ending.
What ending? We're just getting started.
Raoul, get lost.
Your happy ending could begin with the Kellogg's Special K breakfast.
And that's another tale of the ball and chain.
Give your hand to a friend. Give your heart to your heart. Give your cold to contact. The sooner the better.
Hey, I'm back. How's that cold?
Rotten. Get the contact?
I got everything. Contact, cold tablets, and this liquid.
Oh, no.
Honey, it's all cold medicine.
Well, sure, but it only takes one contact for up to 12 hours continuous relief from sneezing, drips, congestion. For that, I'd need 6 of your cold tablets.
2 every 4 hours.
Or 3 ounces of nighttime liquid.
1 every 4
Or
hours.
just one contact. The tiny Tide pills do it.
Well, it's all cold medicine.
Those others contain antipyretic analgesics. The liquid, antitussive, and alcohol. They're not in contact.
6 or 3 or 1. I'd choose the one contact.
Me too. And I'm the one with the cold.
Give your cold contact. The sooner the better.
6 or 3 or 1. When you catch a cold, take contact. Only as directed.
It is the disease of not listening, the malady of not marking, that I am troubled withal. So said Henry IV, according to William Shakespeare. But the disease that troubles Martin Jerome is listening too closely, and his malady is marking too well.
I pushed the packet of matches with its absurd message down through the crack in the cave with a little stick. I heard it drop. I knew it had reached them, even before I heard Marion speak.
George. Huh? Something just dropped onto my shoulder. George, light the match.
Marion, it's our last match.
I don't care, light it. I have to know what fell on my shoulder.
I don't like to use
George,
up our last...
please, if you don't...
All right. All right. Take it easy. Did you see anything?
It hit my shoulder, and then it... Here it is. George! Well, it's matches. It's a whole fold of matches.
You're kidding.
I'm not. There's something written on it here, George. Wait a minute. It says, I am here.
Who? Who's here?
I don't know.
Oh, my God, that's the end of the match. I held it till I burned my fingers. I'm sorry, I couldn't.
It's all right. What? We have matches now. Can you see?
It isn't signed at all. It just says, I am here. That's all.
But who's here?
Doesn't matter, does it? It's somebody's here. That's what counts.
Why doesn't he say something? Call out to us or something. Tell us that everything will be all right.
Maybe he's gone for help.
Oh, yes, that must be it.
Yes, that is it. It's all right now. It's all right as long as somebody's here.
I couldn't stand their joy over my simple-minded message. They seemed like silly children, as silly as I felt myself. For I hadn't the faintest notion what I was going to do once I had made this strange contact with them. I climbed down and sat on the beach staring at the water until I fell asleep. I must have slept the rest of that day and all night because it was the sun coming up behind the horizon that woke me. I went back to the cave, climbed to the roof, and put my ear to the crack.
George, I can't stand it. Where is he?
How should I know? Stop asking me.
He wouldn't give us a message like that. He wouldn't write, "I'm here" on a package of matches and then just go away, would he?
How do I know? You keep asking me as though I had an answer.
Oh, I'm not hungry anymore.
I haven't been hungry for a long time.
I just feel terribly weak.
Damn it, I know. Now, will you shut up? Just shut up.
Die here, George.
Be quiet.
No water. No food. We'll die here.
I said shut up.
Whoever wrote that note must have been a madman.
Wherever he was, he's gone away.
Yes. And we'll die in this cave.
I don't intend to die in this cave.
Oh. And just what do you think you'll do about it?
Something.
Nothing you can do.
I'm just not going to die.
Yes.
Not yet.
Yes, you are. Make up your mind to it. What are you doing now?
I'm going to light a match.
Matches? We have matches. No food. No water. Just matches. George.
I'm not going to die. Not yet. Not me.
George!
Not me.
I felt as though the world had stopped. Actually, I had stopped. All at once, I knew what I must do. I didn't want to go completely out of my mind. I clambered down from the roof. I ran to the cave entrance. I tried to move the big boulder that blocked it. I knew even before I tried that I wouldn't be able to do it. But my mind was working brilliantly. I ran to where my horse's saddle and bridle lay on the sand. And after taking it all apart, I began working to put it together again for a new purpose. Oh, I used everything. The girth, the reins, the stirrup leathers. And in an hour, I had fashioned a crude device. I led my horse to the cave entrance. Somehow, I wrapped the girth around the boulder and made it firm. The reins circled my horse's shoulders. And then I stood back and gave him a sharp rap on the flank. He moved. And the boulder moved. The boulder moved away from the entrance to the cave. There was room for me to squeeze through. Just inside, I found them. She lay there in a faint. He lay across her. And his teeth were sunk in her breast.
Mr. Jerome, would you like to wait till another time to tell me?
No. I must tell it to you now. I carried their bodies out, and I put them on the back of my horse. I threw a halter over his head and led him the 15 miles to Marsh Hills. It took all day because I stopped every hour to be sure that they were both breathing. There's a doctor in Marsh Hills, and I left them on his doorstep. I rang his bell and fled. The next day, I waited outside the doctor's house until I saw an ambulance drive up and take the young couple away. They were able to walk, so I knew they were all right, or soon would be. I I went back to the city, but not before I had memorized the name of the hospital, which was printed on the ambulance. And from the city, I wrote to the hospital. I pretended to be a concerned relative. They answered me. They said that the girl, Marion, had already been discharged, but that they were keeping the young man for a few days more. They would let me know when he could go home. And they did let me know. I remember it was on a Sunday. And as he walked out of the hospital, I was waiting for him. He didn't seem at all surprised to see me. I took his hand. He came with me quietly. We boarded the bus. We took the 2 trains, no trouble at all. And when we got to the city, we went to my flat. He undressed, bathed, and got into my bed. And he went to sleep. That was, 6 months ago, Doctor. And he's been there with me ever since.
He's all right.
Oh, he's very well. I sleep on the floor now. He sleeps in the bed. I cook his breakfast, come home from the office and cook his lunch. And, of course, I make dinner for us both at night. And, we listen to music. I read a book, but he just listens to the music. Oh, yes, he's in good health.
Mr. Jerome, the hour is up.
You want me to leave?
Not quite yet. You've told me an amazing story. As amazing a story as I've ever heard. But tell me, just what is it you expect of me? What do you want me to do for you?
Huh? Oh, why, nothing, Doctor.
Nothing? Nothing at all?
I don't want help for myself, Doctor. I want help for the young man. You see, in the 6 months he's been staying with me, he hasn't uttered a word. Not one word.
Go see the doctor, young man. Yes, George, he can help you to unburden yourself. He will make the words pour out in full confession, and you'll feel the better for it. Why, look what he has just done for Martin Jerome. As the deadly hour passed. I'll be back shortly.
Young I may be, but still I'm a man. Just turned 18 and I'll do what I can to find me a place where I can be me. Get ready for life and be free as the sea. Where do I go from here? Oh, where do I go from here? I finished school, but what lies ahead? Don't want to get trapped, want to feel free instead. All over the world, there's so much to do. The call of the sea, don't you hear it too? Where do I go from here? Oh, where do I go from here?
What about the new Navy? You'll get your chance at success, learn an exciting job, and see the world. Call toll-free 800-841-8000. That's 800-841-8000. Or see your Navy recruiter. Be someone special in the new Navy.
I know where I'm going from here.
You've heard of the 7 wonders of the world? The Grand Canyon, the Taj Mahal, Niagara Falls, and I forget the other 4. No matter. Because they are simple things compared to the human mind in all its deviousness, all its twists and drifts. Why, I could sit in wonder at the human mind for the rest of my life. Our cast included Norman Rose, Marion Seldes, John Barragray, and Jack Grimes. The entire production was under the direction of Hyman Brown. And now, a preview of our next tale.
That's impossible. Why is it impossible? It's all right for the simple-minded hicks up here to swallow that superstitious nonsense, but me, I'm a doctor.
There has to be a reasonable, logical, rational explanation for what happened to George Morrissey.
Oh, there is. He offended the spirit of the mountain.
Oh, you consider that reasonable, logical, rational?
Would you feel better if I said there's something up in that mountain, a virus, a bacillus, a fungus, which somehow causes immediate aging?
It would be a more rational explanation.
You mean more acceptable?
I want to know what you believe.
I believe the evidence. If you go up there, you can die.
Radio Mystery Theater was sponsored in part by the Kellogg Company, makers of Kellogg's Special K cereal. This is E.G. Marshall inviting you to return to our Mystery Theater for another adventure in the macabre. Until next time, pleasant dreams.
This is Frank Lieber. Exclusive interviews with the biggest names in baseball and football. Joe Namath, Johnny Bench, Leroy Kelly, Reggie Jackson. They were all at the recently concluded American Airlines Golf Classic in Puerto Rico, and so were we. Here are informal chats with the superstars each morning at 8:15 and each evening at 9:50. Another service of KRLD Sports.
The latest American Research Bureau survey reports KRLD Dallas continues to have more audience than any other Dallas radio station.
CBS News. The FBI in Berkeley, California says a search is on for a young couple wanted as possible suspects in the terrorist kidnapping of newspaper heiress Patricia Hearst. This is John Meyer reporting on the CBS radio network. That announcement in California marks the first major break in the case since the terrorist Symbionese Liberation Army claimed last week that it had kidnapped Miss Hearst and is holding her as a political prisoner. Reporters were given a description of the wanted couple by Thomas Druken, Assistant Special Agent in charge of the San Francisco FBI office.
We determined during the course of our investigation that a dark, late model Volkswagen was in the immediate area of the kidnapping, occupied by a white male and white female. Now, we're merely attempting to locate these individuals as potential witnesses.
Druken noted that the FBI already has released drawings of 3 suspects, 2 young black men and a white woman, who invaded Miss Hearst's apartment, attacked her fiancé, and then, firing shots at witnesses, dragged her screaming to a waiting car and drove off. More news in a moment.
Oh, hello, Mr. Carlson. And how are you today?
Oh, fine, just fine. How about yourself, Gladys?
Oh, I'm pretty good, thank you. Yeah. Now, let's see what we've got here. Toothpaste, razor blades, prunes.
Is something wrong?
Can we have a replacement checker for Gladys on number 5, please?
There are still a lot of people who laugh at prunes. But now, quite a few are finding out how good they really are. Because pound for pound, prunes have 8 times the vitamin A of the leading fresh fruit. And more iron, niacin, and vitamin B2 than the 5 leading fresh fruits. They're also a great natural source of quick energy.
Oh, I'm sorry to keep you waiting, sir. I'm taking Gladys's place.
That's okay.
Let me see. Bread, milk, prunes.
Oh, boy. California prunes. The funny fruit that does so much for you.
Radio Baghdad says warfare has broken out between Iraq and Iran with troops, heavy artillery, and tanks engaged in fighting along the border. Heavy casualties are reported on both sides. Iran lists at least 70 casualties. The Iraqis at least 23 killed or wounded. It's the first such fighting since the two countries reinstated diplomatic relations last October after a 5-year break. Radio Baghdad also claims today's clashes were actually the third in 3 weeks, that there was also fighting on January 24th and again last Monday. In Tel Aviv, the Israeli military command confirms 4 Israeli soldiers wounded today in renewed fighting between Syrian and Israeli forces in the Golan Heights. That artillery duel ended a 4-day lull along the ceasefire line. Radio Damascus says the fighting lasted more than an hour, but has made no mention of Syrian casualties. Meanwhile, in Jerusalem, the Israeli government says Russia will try to persuade Syria to turn over lists of Israeli prisoners of war being held in Damascus. Those lists, plus Syrian permission to let the International Red Cross visit the POWs, are the top Israeli conditions for beginning disengagement talks with Syria. In Amman, a Jordanian army spokesman confirmed today that the Nixon administration has supplied that Arab country with the most sophisticated portable anti-tank missile in the U.S. arsenal. The spokesman identifies the missile as the TOW. Here in Washington, the Pentagon declines comment. In Saigon, the South Vietnamese military command says communist forces have suffered their heaviest battle losses in a single action this year. A spokesman says 81 communist troops were killed in a 2-day battle with government forces in the Central Highlands province of Pleiku. Government losses are placed at 17 killed, 15 wounded. In Cambodia today, communist troops attacked 3 government positions only 8 miles south of the capital, Phnom Penh, and a government spokesman says an army relief column, led by 24 armored personnel carriers, had to retreat when it came under heavy communist fire. Now, this message.
Time will come when you need help and understanding, a warm smile, a friendly voice from people who care. It's a plastic world, and that's the truth. Tough and unfeeling, but when you find friendly folks, it's easier to bear.
Is there anyone who doesn't respond to a kind word or a friendly face? The answer's obvious. At CIT Financial Services, courtesy and understanding are watchwords. Sure, we make money happen, but we do it quietly, quickly, without embarrassment. So whenever you need a loan, and some kind words to go with it, drop into your nearest CIT office. We'd really like to make money happen for you.
CIT makes money happen. We really do.
The Nixon administration's energy czar, William Simon, has announced that the major oil companies can now begin refining more gasoline if they have produced enough home heating oil to last out the winter. Simon's long-awaited announcement on shifting refinery output comes as motorists in 4 states, plus the District of Columbia, prepare to switch to the so-called Oregon plan for gasoline rationing. The leaders of 13 major oil-consuming countries have been arriving here in Washington on the eve of tomorrow's opening session of a 2-day conference on energy at the foreign ministers level. U.S. Secretary of State Henry Kissinger expected to try to persuade his 12 colleagues that they must act in concert with the United States to weather the world oil crisis. This is John Meyer, CBS News.
Hello?
Hello, Mrs. William Houck of Anchorage, Alaska.
Yes?
Hi, Mrs. Houck. My name is Ted Brown from New York City. And I'm calling ladies in Anchorage, asking if you'd like to have some fun and sing the Campbell Soup jingle. If you do, I'll send you a case of Campbell's chicken with rice soup.
Is this really from New York?
That's right. Do you know it?
Yes, I do.
Well, go ahead.
Good. Good. Campbell's noodle soup is good.
Well, now, you changed the lyric a little bit, but you're going to get the soup anyway.
Thank you.
You're up there in Anchorage, Alaska, so you know what the cold winters are all about, huh?
Right, I sure do.
And when that weather leaves you cold, you get good hot Campbell's soup, and that leaves you warm.
Yes, sir.
It's exciting for me to talk to you, too, by the way. I've never called Anchorage, Alaska.
Well, call again. This is really unusual. Thank you very much.
Mrs. Hawk, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Bye-bye.
The preceding recorded message was selected from random phone calls.
The CBS Radio Mystery Theater presents... Come in. Welcome. I'm E.G. Marshall. Welcome to the sounds of suspense, to the fear you can hear, to the terrifying world of the imagination. I'm your guide for a journey up a mysterious mountain. Dead Man's Mountain is what it's called. Going is really no problem. It's coming down that separates the living from the dead.
Doctor, a man simply cannot age 40 years in one night.
I wish I knew what to tell you, Mr. Johnson. I saw George last evening at dinner. He was 35. This morning, he's close to 80.
But how could that happen?
He went where he had no business going. Up Dead Man's Mountain.
Is there some kind of disease up there? Some germ? Some virus that can age a man?
None that is known to science.
Then how do you account for it?
Probably the Indian legend is correct. Some evil spirit up there hates to be disturbed.
Our mystery drama, Dead Man's Mountain, was written especially for the Mystery Theater by Sam Dan and stars Alan Hewitt. It is sponsored in part by the Kellogg Company, makers of Kellogg's Special K cereal. I'll return shortly with Act One.
Hi, son. Hi, Mom. Hi, Dad.
Hi, Junior.
Kellogg's Special K presents Junior Gives Up.
Junior, why aren't you eating your Special K? It's your favorite cereal.
Oh, just 'cause.
Just 'cause why, honey?
Just 'cause Darla said some evil things about it. That's just 'cause why.
Hi, Mom. Hi, Dad.
Hi, Darla. Hi, Sis.
Hi, Junior. Darla, what did you tell Junior about his Special K? Daddy, all I told him was that Special K is good for him.
Yeah, and anything that's good for me never seems to taste good.
But, Junior, you already know that Special K tastes good.
Who do I believe? Darla or my taste buds?
What's that, son?
Oh, nothing, Dad.
Son, Special K is America's favorite high-protein cereal. It's got minerals, vitamins, iron, and all those good, nutritious things. But it got to be so popular over the years because it tastes good, too.
You mean it's good for me and tastes good, too?
Right, son.
Right, Dad.
Right, Junior.
Right, Mom.
Right, indeed. Start your balanced breakfast with Kellogg's Special K. It's nutritious and delicious.
Right, Dad.
When occasional heartburn or acid indigestion is combined with a gassy, foolish feeling, that's what we call gassed indigestion. Digel is made for gassed indigestion because Digel is different. It does more than plain add acids. Digel reduces excess acid while its patented simethicone gets rid of trapped gas fast. Use only as directed. Digel for gassed indigestion. No plain add acid can do what Digel can.
Was I embarrassed? Even though I used an adhesive on my dentures, they still came loose during dinner. And when I had to be...
This denture wearer should change to Cushion Grip, a soft, pliable thermoplastic adhesive that even hot or cold liquids can't dissolve. That's why Cushion Grip lasts and holds dentures much longer than ordinary powder, paste, or cream adhesives you often must apply 2 or 3 times daily. For new long-lasting security, new comfort, change to Cushion Grip.
R.J. Johnson sits at his desk. Yes, the R.J. Johnson. The mysterious, the remote R.J. Johnson. I better explain that. His ways are mysterious, except when his plans include you. He is remote, except when he wants something from you. Then his presence can become an overwhelming reality. Some say R.J. is the richest man in the world. Some say he's the second, the third, the fourth richest. Does it matter? All we need to know is that on this particular morning, R.J. Johnson sits at his desk, as usual, and is formulating plans to buy or sell what? An industry? A government? Somebody's soul?
Parker, I want us to maintain our short position on Consolidated Industries. It's bleeding down steadily, and we should help depress it a bit, too. No, I'm not afraid of anything like that. They won't get a government contract. We can see to it. Pick up National Computer and Starlight Oil. I want our full concentration on those 3. I'll call you back later. Yes, Mrs. Dollard. Come in.
Mr. Johnson, George Morrissey is here.
And about time. I want hourly reports on Consolidated, National, and Starlight to see to it that Parker can always reach me. Now, have Morrissey come in.
But, sir, about Morrissey.
Is there a problem?
Well, I...
You were saying?
Perhaps I should have said...
Mrs. Dollard, are you all right?
Perhaps I should have said... There's a man outside who claims to be George Morrissey.
Mrs. Dollard, you know George Morrissey.
I thought I did.
If there's any doubt, check security.
I did.
Then that settles it. He could never hope to get past the lobby elevators if he weren't George Morrissey.
Mr. Johnson, maybe what I'm trying to say is there's a man out there. And I don't want him to be George Morrissey.
Have him come in here.
Yes, sir. Mr. Johnson will see you now. Do you see what I mean, Mr. Johnson?
Mrs. Dollard, is this your idea of a practical joke? Who is this?
Please, R.J., don't yell at her. I can't stand noise.
George?
Yes, George.
You can't be George.
Look at me, R.J. Look at me.
I can't believe it.
You don't want to believe it.
What happened to you?
Please let me sit down.
He walked out of this office 3 weeks ago.
Yes, 3 weeks ago.
He was a man of 35. And now...
Now I know. I look in the mirror. I could be 75.
His hair is all white. He's wrinkled, stooped.
And that's not the worst of it. I feel 75. I couldn't even walk without this cane.
George, the first thing you have to do is tell me exactly what happened.
I was at Manitou Mountain, getting the development deal set, and R.J., listen, we'll have to forget it. Give it up.
What are you saying?
I'm saying forget it. Look at what happened to me. They said, all the locals, they said the mountain was haunted. Terrible things would happen to anyone who went up there.
Talk sense.
Can't you believe your eyes, R.J.? Look at what happened to me.
George, start at the beginning.
I couldn't get anyone to drive up the mountain road. So I hired a car. I drove it myself. I drove it up the mountain and...
Yes, and?
And that's all I remember, R.J. I must have passed out up there.
But something did happen.
It's like a nightmare. I can't bring it into focus. Just flashes of it. Terrible things.
Be specific. What kind of terrible things?
Shapes, forms, voices, saying I was going to die, that my life was falling away, that it was disappearing.
What kind of shapes? What sort of forms?
I don't know.
What size were they? What color?
I don't know.
You say voices. What kind? High, low?
R.J., I
were they
don't
men's
know.
voices? Women's?
I can't remember. I can't
now pull
remember.
yourself together.
Pull myself together. Look at me. I'm an old man. I've been robbed of half my life.
Now think. How long did you stay on the mountain?
I don't know. Somehow I managed to get the car turned around. I drove back to town. I found a doctor.
What's his name?
I don't know.
What did he say?
I can't remember. R.J., I came here to warn you. The mountain, it's haunted. It's cursed. Give up the project.
Mrs. Dollard, call Dr. Waterson.
No. Doctor can't help me anymore. But I can help you, R.J. Give it up. Give up the project.
Dr. Waterson? Yes. Keep him on fluids, and whatever you do, see that he remains absolutely calm. That was the resident.
About George?
No change in his condition.
Have you checked the local doctor? The one who saw him first?
Well, we called him. He reports he treated a man of about 70 for exhaustion.
That's all you could get out of him?
And that's all he had to say.
And what have you got to say, Doctor?
We find that George Morrissey has the physical signs of a man in his 70s.
But you know very well he is not in his 70s.
Chronologically, no. Medically, yes.
Is there a disease that could age a man so radically in so short a time?
I would say a man could be ravaged by some psychic or physical attack, but here we have no signs of trauma. His tissues, organs, nervous system, circulatory system, they show the deterioration that could only be caused by aging.
Let's cut through all this, Doctor. How did it happen?
We don't know.
You don't know. Am I supposed to buy this nonsense about a haunted mountain, curses, and all that?
I don't have the answer, R.J.
Watterson, over the years, I have contributed millions for medical research. I bought this whole hospital for you. So, are you telling me that now, when I need some answers, I'm not going to get anything for my money?
I'm telling you that we have no answers at this time.
Is it possible that George could be faking?
Why should he want to fake?
Answer my question.
The answer's no.
I want to see him.
He's very weak. Is it important?
I don't make unimportant requests.
Well, just for a minute or two at most. And please, don't excite him.
I won the club championship, and I was named third team All-America.
George.
Girls, you should see how the girls would fall all over me.
George, pay attention.
Huh? Oh, it's you, R.J. Listen.
No, George. Don't try to sit up.
But I've got to talk to R.J. Listen, R.J., are you listening?
I'm listening.
Here's what happens to you up there on the mountain. I remember, you see. Now, I remember.
Yeah, R.J., don't excite him,
I
please.
accept full responsibility.
Up there on that mountain, I was told you will lose that which you value most.
Told? You say told? How? By whom?
I don't know.
How can we get anywhere if you keep saying you don't know? Think.
R.J., I order you from this room.
He's going to die soon anyhow. We have to get that information.
R.J., I will call security and have the guards throw you out of here.
No, Doctor. No, leave us alone. This is between R.J. and me.
What were you told, George?
I wasn't really told. It was more like a kind of feeling, an idea that seemed to seep into me. And I realized the most important thing, what mattered most to me, was my body.
Talk sense.
I'm talking sense, R.J. And I began to lose my body.
What do you mean, lose your body?
The way you really lose it. To old age. Only, oh, God, only I was losing it then and there. And all at once.
Is that what you think happened, Morrissey?
But look, I got away from there, you see. I got away just before I would have died. But why? I should have stayed. Look at me. What good am I now?
Be calm and practical, George. We have the greatest doctors in the world here. We'll beat this thing.
You can still beat it, R.J. You can still beat it. Just don't go near that mountain. Just give up the project.
You wanted me, Mr. Johnson?
Has Parker called while I was out?
Yes, sir. He reported in. Consolidated stock is still falling.
That's good.
National computer is rising. And Starlight Oil is doing well with the new government.
Tell him to increase our holdings. Try 10%. Now, cancel the rest of today and all of tomorrow.
Yes, sir.
Call Chuck Daly. I want him here in 3/4 of an hour.
Sir.
What is it?
Well, Chuck's about to leave for Florida. His daughter's getting married this afternoon.
Tell him he is to fly me up to the Manitou Mountain area.
But, Mr. Johnson...
Now, what is it, Mrs. Dollard?
You can't go up to Manitou Mountain.
Why not?
You saw what happened.
What did happen?
You saw George Morrissey.
About George Morrissey. Either he caught a disease...
But medical science doesn't know of such a disease.
Medical science is constantly being surprised. Obviously, someone does not want me to develop the Manitou Mountain Resort Complex. And perhaps they managed to buy George Morrissey.
But I would bet my life on George Morrissey.
You must never bet your life on anybody, Mrs. Dollard. The nearest town to Manitou Mountain is Lafayette Center. Reserve a room for me there at the motel.
But he is George Morrissey. Fingerprints, dental records.
Reserve it under the name R.J. Smith.
Mr. Johnson, are you going up there alone?
You know perfectly well, Mrs. Dollard, that the way to get something done is to do it yourself.
But isn't it dangerous for you to go?
Mrs. Dollard, I have complete freedom of action because, as you know very well, practically nobody on the outside has the faintest idea of what I look like.
How many days do you plan to spend with us, Mr. Smith?
Well, that all depends.
Oh? On what?
Do you suppose I could hire a car and driver?
Oh, let's see. I have some cards here. Pick out any name. Tell them Doris Evans over at the motel recommended you.
Do you mean I need a recommendation to hire a car?
Well, it's deer season. Can't expect a man to concentrate on his business.
I would think you can if you pay him and he recognizes his obligation.
Well, I can see you're a very serious-minded person, Mr. Smith. What brings you up to our frivolous part of the world?
I intend to do some sightseeing.
Sightseeing?
Well, I hear you have some very beautiful country.
Oh, yes, we do have a lot of very beautiful country up here. Wild, unspoiled. And we aim to keep it that way, too.
Tell me, is there a doctor in town?
Oh, I hope nothing's wrong. I wouldn't want you to get sick on us while you're here.
No, I should just be checked every now and then.
Oh, well, we do have Doc Stallings.
Does he have office hours now?
His office hours are when he's not hunting or fishing. But I think he'd give up a chance at a 12-point buck for you.
Why?
Well, he doesn't get an opportunity like this every day.
To do what?
To treat the world-famous R.J. Johnson.
I see. How did you know
Oh, I'm sorry. Really, I shouldn't have given it away. After all, if you want to call yourself Mr. Smith, we should indulge that little conceit.
But how did you know?
Mr. Johnson, the whole town knows you're up here. Why, we've all been waiting for you.
We've all been waiting. Waiting for what reason? Had they also been waiting for George Morrissey? And George was only R.J. Johnson's hired man. We'll be back shortly with Act 2.
For children growing up in homes without books, there's a special emptiness. A deep-down hunger for the world beyond the street corner or playground. A world where they could grow up to become whatever they want to be. But millions of these children will never find out about that world because they'll never know what they can learn in books unless you help. RIF, reading is fundamental, is helping to get millions of books into the hands of these boys and girls. Books they can choose themselves for keeps. And once a child gets into books, there's no stopping him. More than 150 local RIF programs are proving it in communities like yours. Won't you help RIF? Help the children in your community. Write to RIF Incorporated. That's RIF, care of Smithsonian Institution, Washington, D.C., 20560.
Give your hand to a friend. Give your heart to your love. But give your cold to contact. The sooner the better.
Hey, I'm back. How's that cold?
Rotten. Get the contact?
I got everything. Contact, cold tablets, and this liquid.
Oh, no.
Honey, it's all cold medicine.
Well, sure, but it only takes one contact for up to 12 hours continuous relief from sneezy, drips, congestion. For that, I'd need 6 of your cold tablets.
2 every 4 hours.
Or 3 ounces of nighttime liquid.
1 every 4 hours.
Or just 1 contact. The tiny time pills do it.
Well, it's all cold medicine.
Those others contain antipyretic analgesics. The liquid, antitussive, and alcohol. They're not in contact.
6 or 3 or 1. I choose the 1 contact.
Me too. And I'm the one with the cold.
Give your cold contact. The sooner the better.
6 or 3 or 1. When you catch a cold, take contact. Only as directed.
One of the world's wealthiest men sits in the tiny lobby of a small motel in an out-of-the-way village somewhere in the Adirondacks. And suddenly he feels that all of his money and power somehow seem to be very far away at this anxious moment.
You say the whole town's been waiting for me, Mrs. Evans?
Yes, we've been waiting.
Why?
Well, you own us now.
I own you.
In a manner of speaking. You own all the land that surrounds this village.
I would think of myself as more of a neighbor.
Well, we don't think your plans for the area will make you a good neighbor.
You had your chance to protest against the project at the hearing.
And we did.
And after the legislature weighed all the pros and cons, they acted in the interests of the entire state, not your narrow provincial prejudices.
You really believe that, don't you?
I certainly do.
Well, we know why certain votes went a certain way.
Oh, do you? Suppose you tell me.
We know there was bribery and pressure.
Really? None of this was found by the special prosecutor's office.
Well, I must admit, though, I admire your courage.
My courage?
To come up here, all alone, without your thugs.
Oh, just a minute, Mrs. Evans.
Oh, they have clean fingernails, excellent manners, college degrees. But they help you to steal and cover your tracks. In that sense, they're no better than common thugs.
You really believe that, don't you? Now, let me set you straight. I have never done anything illegal.
Oh, you can't be serious.
No court has ever found me guilty of any crime.
Congratulations.
But here's what I am guilty of. Success. And this has earned me the envy and the hatred of millions of people. But that's human nature. I understand that. What I don't understand is the attitude of the people in this town. I'm not taking anything from you. I'm going to make every one of you rich. Can't you believe it?
Oh, yes. We believe it.
Do you have any idea how property values in this town will skyrocket when the development is here?
Yes, indeed.
Then why is everybody so unhappy?
You know, you remind me of my husband. My late husband, that is.
In what way?
He was an unsuccessful version of you. He also worshipped money. But he didn't know how to make it.
Now, what happened to your husband?
He went up to what your investment brochure calls Manitou Mountain. Dead Man's Mountain, we call it around here, and it killed him.
How could the mountain kill him?
It's an old Indian legend. Unless your conscience is completely clear, that mountain will kill you. Well, it killed poor Sidney Evans, rest his soul.
Killed him? How?
He was discovered at the foot of it. He was completely shriveled.
There must be an explanation.
Doc Stallings never found it. He just wrote it up as death due to causes unknown.
Stallings is, after all, only a country doctor.
That's right, he is. Tell me, how do your high-powered city doctors explain Mr. Morrissey?
Well, you know about Mr. Morrissey.
Oh, the whole town knows about Mr. Morrissey. Poor Mr. Morrissey, he went up there. Something he had no business doing.
I must correct that. He had every business doing it. He was my agent inspecting my property on orders from me.
But the fact is, he went up there, and the mountain got him.
Have other people met with mysterious results after climbing that mountain?
Oh, very few and far between. We may be just country folk up here, but we learn from experience.
Are you Dr. Stallings?
Well, look who's here.
They said you'd be out fishing.
Well, that's never a bad guess, but it takes two, and the trout won't play.
I'd like to talk to you.
Sure.
I'm willing to pay you for a consultation.
Oh, I intend to charge you.
Well?
Well, what?
Well, aren't you going to come up here out of the water?
Well, you see, I got my eye out for a certain brown trout. So you just tell me your symptoms, and I'll decide whether I have to examine you.
An employee of mine. You treated him recently. George Morrissey.
Oh, him.
What happened to George Morrissey?
Well, I met him at the motel. It was a Thursday night. I go there for dinner whenever Doris Evans serves pot roast. Hey, you're lucky. She's having it tonight.
About Mr. Morrissey.
Oh, he was a serious kind of fellow. Not like you. Same no-nonsense, let's get right down to it attitude.
I'm only interested in what happened to Morrissey.
What happened? Well, he wanted to hire somebody to drive him up to Man's Mountain.
And nobody would do it.
That's right.
Why?
Well, you've been told why by now, I'm sure.
I'm asking you why.
I'll tell you the same thing.
That's impossible.
Why is it impossible? Oh, I see what you're thinking. It's all right for the simple-minded hicks up here to swallow that superstitious nonsense, but me, I'm a doctor. A product of a highly sophisticated, specialized education.
That's exactly what I'm thinking.
Well, think again, because I believe it too.
There has to be a reasonable, logical, rational explanation for what happened to George Morrissey.
Oh, there is. He offended the spirit of the mountain.
Oh, you consider that reasonable, logical, rational?
Would you feel better if I said there's something up in that mountain, a virus, a bacillus, a fungus, which somehow causes immediate aging?
It would be a more rational explanation.
You mean more acceptable?
I want to know what you believe, and I'll pay you for it.
I believe the evidence. If you go up there, you can die.
But why?
Because a great spirit lives up there, and he values his privacy.
That's impossible.
I saw George Morrissey at dinner one night. A vigorous, athletic-looking man in his 30s. I saw him again the following evening. A broken old man, half...
And you explain it with this half-baked legend.
Well, how do your city doctors, with all their modern facilities, explain it? Your Dr. Watterson, a world-famous diagnostician, he called me. He asked me.
This thing has to be cleared up.
Why? What's wrong with a nice, quiet mystery?
If word of this becomes general, it can destroy the entire project.
Uh-huh. Is that bad?
Millions of people will be deprived of an opportunity to enjoy healthful recreation in a fresh country environment.
But it won't be fresh country, you see. You'll have superhighways and smoke and noise and honky-tonk resorts.
I'm convinced that you people are up to something.
Well, you tell me what.
I don't know. But I assure you, I have the resources to find out.
Well, if you ever do, let me know.
Well, did you find Doc Stallings?
My secretary should have called me on the hour.
Oh, she did. We serve dinner till 9:30, but the best time to eat's around 6. From then on, it's leftovers.
I'll have a sandwich sent up to my room.
Oh, you're joking.
I don't tell jokes.
You mean all you want for dinner is a sandwich?
Mrs. Evans, food is merely fuel. The body is just a machine, and so my tastes are very simple.
Whom do rich men think they impress when they say they have simple tastes? Do you have a wife?
I never married.
Oh? Well, so far we've eliminated wine and women. I can see by looking at you that there isn't too much song. Oh, what do you do with all your money?
I make it grow.
Well, whatever you do, don't go up that mountain.
I don't think I need any more advice from anyone around here. I would like to place a call to New York.
You go up that mountain, and when you come down, you'll be penniless.
You have my secretary's number there. Please put it through.
Just remember, I told you.
It's exactly 5 minutes past 4, Mrs. Dollard.
I know that, sir.
Why haven't you heard from Parker?
I'm expecting a call any moment.
Any moment was not his orders. I specifically directed him to report on the hour.
Yes, sir.
Why is there a delay?
I don't know.
Well, find out.
Mr. Johnson, I'm only human.
What did you say, Mrs. Dollard? Mrs. Dollard? Operator? Operator! Now, see here, Mrs. Evans.
Oh, Mr. Johnson, I was just trying to reach your room.
I've been cut off in the middle of a crucial telephone call.
Carlotta, the phone company operator, she just told me that we can't get through to New York for a bit.
What are you saying?
Well, you've seen those signs along the roads. Look out for falling rocks. Well, we just had a pretty good slide on Route 640.
But I must talk to New York.
A lot of wires are down, but Ed Bailey and his boys will have it fixed before long. Oh, hi, Doc.
Hello, Doris. And why does the celebrated R.J. Johnson look so agitated?
Well, he can't make a phone call.
Oh, my. You know, Mr. Johnson, as a physician, I have a prescription that could keep you healthy and happy for years.
Doctor, I'm in no mood for your folksy philosophy. I have to make a phone call.
Don't you want to hear my prescription?
How long will it take to repair the lines?
So, maybe an hour.
An hour?
Maybe less.
I would prescribe the following. Chuck it all, Mr. Johnson. Give it up. Settle down here and marry Doris.
Oh, I'm not sure I'd want to marry him, Doc.
I'm not out to marry anybody.
Oh, why not?
What's going on in this town? Are you people crazy? Where's the police station?
The police station?
Well, we do have a sheriff.
Send for him.
What do you want the sheriff for?
There has to be some kind of plot. Where can I find the sheriff?
Oh, you don't have to find him. He's coming in the door right now. Hi, Elwood.
Evening, folks. A gentleman here wants to see you, Elwood.
Yes, sir.
Sheriff, I need your help.
That's what we're here for, sir.
My name is R.J. Johnson.
Pleased to meet you.
Sheriff, these people are trying to...
Yes, sir?
These people are out to do me harm.
Which people?
Among others, these two.
Yeah, but Doc Stallings here is the greatest guy you'd ever hope to meet. Matter of fact, he takes care of me. And I personally vouch for Doris. She's my sister.
A very nice, tidy little town. And the natives are so friendly and obliging, and so concerned with your well-being. But right now, R.J. Johnson feels overwhelmed by their solicitude, as if he is being literally killed with kindness. We'll return shortly with Act 3.
Ever see a beer drinker pour his beer real easy down the side of the glass? Maybe you do it yourself. If so, the Budweiser brewmaster thinks you're missing something, especially if you're a Budweiser drinker. You see, Bud is brewed, so it will kick up a healthy head of foam. Exclusive beechwood aging and natural carbonation make it a lively brew. Well, anyway, pouring Bud plunk down the middle of the glass helps bring out the best in that clean white Budweiser foam and real beer aroma. It also helps you get the full benefit of a taste, smoothness, and drinkability you'll find in no other beer at any price. Remember, brewing beer right does make a difference. Next time, pour that Budweiser right down the middle and see for yourself. Anheuser-Busch, St. Louis.
I'm Art Linkletter, and I'd like to talk about something that everybody loves. Babies. Play School has introduced a group of fascinating baby toys. Play School, a Milton Bradley company, has been making toys for generations of preschool children. And their baby toys are just terrific. They're fun and safe. Babies will love the Baby Action Ball. They can grasp it, roll it, shake it, or throw it. The Baby Mirror of unbreakable stainless steel introduces them to the most important person in the world when they look into the mirror, themselves. The Play School Toddler Truck is great for baby to scoot around in, and it even has a miniature telephone for baby's first phone calls. My children are grown up now. If they were babies, I know what I'd want them to have, the Play School Baby Toys. Your children are going to love making discoveries every day with Play School's new baby toys. And every day is a good day to make a baby happy.
Are the people of Lafayette Center the kindly, generous-hearted folks they seem to be? Or is this a place of evil where death waits for strangers, especially a wealthy stranger like R.J. Johnson?
How are these good people out to harm you, Mr. Johnson?
I don't know, Sheriff, but something is going on. And I demand protection until I can get some of my own people up here.
You've got to appreciate my position, Mr. Johnson. There's nothing I can do unless you make a choice.
Well, we're only trying to help him, Elwood. You see, I look at this man's face and I hear the tension in his voice and I see his color, you know. So I say to him, change your way of life. Settle down up here. Is that harming him?
Well, it doesn't seem like it.
I recommend a more regular routine.
And we both keep warning him, stay away from Man's Mountain.
Mr. Johnson?
About, for reasons best known to yourselves, you people are determined to keep strangers at a distance.
Oh, we'd only be too happy if more folks would move up here.
And so you invented this nonsense about a cursed and haunted mountain.
But why?
You know why, Sheriff. Because to any man of intelligence and courage, it presents a challenge. But before a man goes up there, you prepare him.
Well, gentlemen, you can stay and listen to all this. I've got to serve dinner.
By all means, Mrs. Evans. We can continue this discussion at the table.
Oh? I thought all you wanted was a sandwich.
Oh, no. Tonight, I'm having all the trimming.
Here you are, Mr. Johnson.
Thank you.
Pot roast, mashed potatoes, peas and carrots.
Now, that's a cure for whatever ails you.
Hold on. Dr. Stallings, change plates with me, please.
Why? It's the same portion.
Except I always give you a little bit less.
Would you mind changing plates, Doctor?
No, not if you tell me why.
Since I'm going up to the mountain, there could be something in this food. A drug, perhaps.
Oh, I like that.
Very well, Mr. Johnson. Here, have it your way.
You say you're going up the mountain?
Yes.
After all we told you?
I'm going up that mountain to prove that it's just an ordinary piece of undeveloped country real estate.
Can you stop him?
Why does everybody want to stop me?
Well, look what it did to your Mr. Morrison.
Suppose, for the sake of argument, there is something dangerous up there, and it gets me. Isn't that to your interest? Without me, there can't be a development project.
Well, we have a more basic interest. We have obligations as human beings.
Well, now, I will need a car. There's a road, I assume.
Oh, yes, sir. It leads up to the top.
But why go now? At night?
Because the word should get around. R.J. Johnson drove up this man's mountain, as you call it, in the dead of night, and just as calmly drove down again.
But, Mr. Johnson,
You
really...
have something to learn, Mrs. Evans. You think a man becomes rich through trickery, violence, and all manner of illegal, immoral, and unethical acts.
I never said that.
But you believe it. Tonight, you're going to discover how I became rich. By daring to do what other people consider impossible. It's that simple.
I would still advise you to keep away from that mountain.
Let's end the little game, Doctor. I've humored all you people long enough.
Well, very well. How do you account for George Morrissey?
Very simple. George Morrissey is not R.J. Johnson.
Oh.
Does the spirit of the mountain, going along with the legend, kill everyone whose conscience is not clear? Very well. I'm safe. My conscience is unblemished.
Elwood, I still think you should stop him.
The sheriff has no right to interfere. I'm merely inspecting my own property.
No, he's right, Doris.
A little exercise in morality here. Who would care to accompany me? You look down on. You are the pillars of virtue. You mean there isn't a clear conscience among the three of you?
I'll drive you.
Doris.
Doris, what do you say?
He's challenged us.
But, Doris, you know you can't fight the mountain.
Well, we can't let somebody else get killed up there either.
Well, what can you do?
Well, at the first sign of anything suspicious, I can turn the car around. Mr. Johnson, you've got yourself a driver, and I suggest we leave right now. The moon goes down early around here.
First I have to call New York.
But the lines are still down.
How do you know?
Carlotta will let us know when they're fixed.
Maybe I'd better wait.
Oh. Don't tell me you're starting to have second thoughts.
I have some very important things to check out.
Well, we can drive to the top of the mountain and back again in an hour.
How do you know? Have you done it before?
No, just a guess. And I'm ready if you are. Well?
What is it, Mrs. Evans?
Well, we're here. We're at the foot of Man's Mountain. And there, you see, on your right, is the dirt road that leads upward.
How far?
Oh, I don't know.
Well, what are we waiting for?
You won't change your mind, Mr. Johnson?
No.
I still don't understand why you have to do this.
This is another reason why I'm a rich man. I buy stock nobody else believes in. I finance schemes other people think are harebrained. I back men no one else will work with. And I climb mountains everyone else is scared by.
I'm climbing this mountain, too.
Then you also deserve to be rich.
Well, do we go ahead or do we turn back?
One must always go ahead, Mrs. Evans.
Then, here goes.
How do you feel, Mrs. Evans?
All right. I guess.
You guess?
How do you feel?
I don't have to guess. I know. I feel great. It should be interesting.
What?
Let's assume all you people are right. This mountain is haunted by a great spirit who strikes down all who have guilt. Which one of us do you suppose he'll strike down?
Well, I don't have a guilty conscience.
I wonder about that. I heard the doctor say you had a weakness for men with problems. Your late husband, maybe he didn't have problems. Maybe you had the problems.
Well, we all have problems.
Stop for a moment.
What's the matter?
I think I heard somebody.
I haven't heard a sound.
Listen.
RJ, I'll have the security guards throw you out of here.
It's Waterson. It's Dr. Waterson. What's he doing up here?
Who's Dr. Waterson?
He's looking after George Morrissey.
I'll throw you out of here.
Didn't you hear him?
There's no one around but you and me.
Now that I think of it, that's a strange way for Waterson to talk to me. He would never have the guts to say that unless he knew something.
Look, I think we'd better turn around.
No. I think I'm learning something. Waterson, do you know that Waterson is Parker's son-in-law?
Well, who's Parker?
My administrative assistant. He executes all my orders. Suppose Consolidated Industries is not going down. Suppose it's starting to go up. Suppose Parker is still holding.
Oh, come on, Mr. Johnson. Just relax. Huh? Now, if it's too much for you up here, let's turn back.
Tell me, Mrs. Evans, how did you know I'd be here?
Well, we just assumed.
No one told you.
Who would tell us?
A pilot. My pilot.
I didn't even know you had one.
He may have been put out because I made him fly me here on his daughter's wedding day.
Oh? Well, that really wasn't nice.
I pay him enough, but he didn't tell you.
No.
Listen.
I don't hear anything.
Just listen. There.
I'm only human, Mr. Johnson. I'm only human.
Why would she answer me like that if she didn't know something?
I don't hear a thing, Mr. Johnson.
I'm only human. Let me tell you about her. She's quiet. She's almost mousy. But she's ambitious. I can tell. I've made her a rich woman. She's in on it. She's in on it, too. She and Parker and Morrissey. They worked it out. And you're in on it, too.
Me?
They wanted me out of the way. And so all of you got together. You worked up this phony scheme.
Look, we're going to turn back.
Answer the phone.
What phone?
Answer it. Hello. Hello.
Mr. Johnson, I have the latest quote on Consolidated. It's going up.
It can't go up.
It's gone up 5 points so far.
Get Parker. Close it out. Close it out.
I can't find Parker.
Get him. Mrs. Dollard. Mrs. Dollard.
Who are you talking to?
My secretary. She hung up on me.
How could she hang up? There's no phone.
Consolidated is going up.
But there's no stock market at night.
Mr. Johnson, it's going crazy. National computer is going down.
Have Parker sell at once.
I can't find Parker.
Mrs. Dollard. Mrs. Dollard. She's gone again.
Listen to me, Mr. Johnson. Please, listen.
Do you know how much money I've lost so far?
Please, listen. You have nothing to be afraid of. It's just a legend. Who can be sure it's true? Oh, sure, we local people push it to scare away developers.
I feel weak. As if I lost a lot of blood.
Listen, you're R.J. Johnson. You're not to be taken in with this superstitious nonsense. Fight it off.
I can't. I'm trying. But all my strength is going. My money. It's disappearing.
Your money isn't your strength.
It is. I have nothing else. Please, answer the phone for me. I can hardly lift the receiver.
The rebel government just nationalized Starlight Oil.
What did you say? Mrs. Dollard. Mrs. Dollard.
Mr. Johnson, we're leaving.
What? It happened. Everything I was afraid of happened. Consolidated went up. National went down. And
all...
Nothing happened. It's all your imagination. Mr. Johnson. Mr. Johnson. Talk to me. Mr. Johnson.
He's dead.
How? Why?
Doris, I don't know. There isn't a mark or a sign on him. It's as if all the force and vital energy just left his body.
Well, maybe it's all for the best. He was in trouble.
Trouble?
It was on the news. Some of his holdings went haywire for some reason. 3 big companies. He's out millions. He may have died just in time.
The mountain. The mountain.
What about the mountain?
It's true. Every word we say about it. It's true.
Oh, come on, sis. How can it be true?
The mountain killed him. It took away his money.
Doris, are you all right?
I don't know. I don't know yet. I wonder. What did it do to me?
Well, what did it do to Doris? Everybody loses what he values most up on Dead Man's Mountain, as the saying goes. Maybe Doris had fallen in love with R.J., and thus the mountain robbed her, too. I'll be back shortly.
Who knows how to help you solve your shopping problems? Your Better Business Bureau knows.
For heaven's sake, this store won't give me back my $25 for the ice skates. All they would give me is this credit slip, and they don't even have any more skates in my size. Oh, what am I going to do?
Madam, not all stores make cash refunds on returns, you know.
Who are you?
I'm the man from the Better Business Bureau. You know, only some stores will make refunds because it's their policy to do so, not because they're required to do so. Next time, remember, find out about a store's policy on refunds and exchanges before you buy.
I guess you're right.
Well, you know, it's just another tip from your Better Business Bureau.
Haunted mountains. Did this one cause certain stocks to go up and down one day recently? It certainly seems no more far-fetched than some of the explanations people have for the market. The cast in our exercise in The Extraordinary included Alan Hewitt, Bryna Rayburn, William Redfield, and Robert Dryden. The entire production was under the direction of Hyman Brown. Now, a preview of our next tale.
The only way to learn how to swim is to jump in the water, right?
I simply can't make you understand, can I?
Well, maybe I can make you understand. Forget it. You want to get that dinner ready? I'm hungry.
Yes, I'm going now.
Look, why don't you change first?
Change?
Yeah, your clothes. Get more comfortable.
Yes, I think I'd like to do that, George. I won't be long.
There's a dog on our bed. A horrible big dog.
Take it easy. That's my surprise. That's it. Tell her.
Get him out of here. Please, George, take him away.
It's only a dog, for Pete's sake. He's not going to hurt you.
Get it out, George. Please.
Radio Mystery Theater was sponsored in part by Anheuser-Busch Incorporated, brewers of Budweiser. This is E.G. Marshall inviting you to return to our Mystery Theater for another adventure in the macabre. Until next time, pleasant dreams.
KRLD's Mystery Theater presents 7 thrilling dramas each week. Sundays at 4:07 in the afternoon. Then nightly at 10:07, except on Tuesday and Saturday nights when the basketball broadcasts necessitate delaying the mysteries until midnight.
This is John Wherry for the Kansas City, Kansas Public Schools. Vicki Nagel, kindergarten teacher at Central Elementary School, has some suggestions for parents whose children will start school next year.
If a child can come to kindergarten knowing how to write his name, or at least a beginning of how to write his name, it's a big help. It would be really nice if they knew how to tie their shoes, knew how to button their coat, knew how to zip their coat, because when you get in a group, it's really helpful if they can all take care of that themselves.
Some tips for helping kids get started right in school. Listen again when WDAF and your Kansas City, Kansas Public Schools present another School Note.
WDAF, Kansas City.
Kansas City teachers and the school board have given overwhelming support to a contract hammered out during extensive bargaining with a federal mediator. Sunday's vote clears the way for reopening all 100 public schools today, or rather tomorrow. This is WDAF Kansas City. It's 11 o'clock.
News of the hour on the hour from American Information Radio. This is Steve Powers from New York. And at this hour, positive reaction to the acquittal of John Mitchell and Maurice Stans extends from the defendants themselves to the White House and to Geneva. For the defendants, the reaction was predictable. They were happy. Maurice Stans.
Looking back, all I would like to say in conclusion is that even the book of Job has a very happy ending. And that's the way I feel today.
Stans had praise for the jury, and so did John Mitchell.
It was decided by 12 good American people, part of the cross-section of all of America.
Mitchell says now he's going to take a vacation and a drink. The other side, that story coming up.
You may live with it for 1,000 years, and there is still challenge. And you see, the young people are searching for the answers to life.
Organist Virgil Fox for music in our schools.
I don't think there's any way possible to have children have music too early. I think that music in the lives of the young is probably as important as the breath in their lungs or the blood in their veins. The child who is permitted to brush with music, to cope with it, to dance to it, to feel it, to express it, to make it, is a child who is always several plateaus higher. There's no doubt that beautiful music brings out the finest, and the more we have of it, the better everything else is.
Help to bring out the finest in all our children. Support music in your schools. A message from the Music Educators National Conference.
The chief prosecutor, John Wing, said he felt rotten after the jury found Mitchell and Stans innocent of all counts in the Vesco affair.
I'm disappointed in the verdict, and there's nothing else I really can say.
Are you satisfied with the government's case as you presented it and your fellow prosecutors, sir?
Absolutely.
One of the jurors agreed that Wing did present his case well. Andrew Choa tells ABC News.
An extremely skillful, brilliant job. But the jury came to the conclusion that their presentation of the case did not allow them to arrive at a verdict that was otherwise than the one that was given.
And Choa says the credibility of John Dean as a witness against Mitchell and Stans was not the deciding factor. What about Dean's credibility? Here's ABC's Vic Ratner in Washington.
Lawyers at the special prosecutor's office here were disappointed but not disheartened at the verdict in New York. They feel that the Vesco case had little connection with their major Watergate cases. They feel John Dean's testimony played only a small part at the Vesco trial. He'll play a much bigger role in future Watergate trials. The Vesco case wasn't even the special prosecutor's baby, having originated in the U.S. Attorney's Office in New York and being handled there all along. Vic Ratner, ABC News, Washington.
ABC's Jerry Landay reports that President Nixon is being described as pleased about the not guilty verdict for Mitchell and Stans and their families. We asked ABC's Ted Koppel, who's traveling with Secretary of State Henry Kissinger in Geneva, if the verdict will have an effect on Kissinger's current negotiations.
Some of the president's critics in Congress have been suggesting for several weeks now that the United States might be forced to make negotiating concessions simply because the president is in a weakened position at home. The fact that Messrs. Mitchell and Stans have now been acquitted is not, of course, going to take the heat off altogether. There is still the danger of impeachment hanging over the president, but Secretary Kissinger was clearly elated when he heard the news of the acquittal this evening and felt that his hand was somewhat strengthened as he goes in now to his first round of negotiations with Soviet Foreign Minister Gromyko here in Geneva.
Correspondent Koppel said Kissinger was beaming when he heard the news that Mitchell and Stans had been acquitted in the Vesco affair. This is Information Radio News.
From the Kurt Murray Sports Desk, Johnny Miller sank a clutch 4-foot putt to win the $200,000 Tournament of Champions today. Miller fired a final round 69 to win by a single stroke over Buddy Allen and John Mahaffey. Ferguson Jenkins notched his 5th victory in pitching the Texas Rangers to an 8-5 win over the New York Yankees for a split of their doubleheader. The Yankees won the first game 11-2. The New York Mets defeated the San Francisco Giants 6-4 for a sweep of their doubleheader. The first game also went to New York by a score of 6-0. The San Diego Padres rallied for 5 runs in the bottom of the 9th to edge the Philadelphia Phillies 5-4. Steve Yeager slammed a 3-run homer to face the Los Angeles Dodgers to their 6th straight victory, a 4-0 decision over the Montreal Expos. And Cecil Cooper's leadoff homer in the 4th of the 13th inning gave the Boston Red Sox a 5-4 triumph over the Kansas City Royals. The win snapped Boston's 5-game losing streak. The Kansas City forecast, cloudy with a chance of showers or thunder showers, possibly with heavy rain for the rest of tonight and tomorrow. The low tonight in the low 60s, high tomorrow in the mid to upper 70s. Partly cloudy with a chance of showers Monday night and Tuesday. The low Monday night in the 60s, high Tuesday in the 70s. Right now, cloudy skies, south winds at 14, the humidity 87%, and our current Kansas City temperature 64 degrees. This is Pat Ross, WDAF News.
The CBS Radio Mystery Theater presents... Come in. Welcome. I'm E.G. Marshall. Welcome to the sound of suspense, to the fear you can hear, to the world of terrifying imagination. They say, hell hath no fury like a woman scorned. And perhaps it's true. But the question is, how long can that fury endure? How long can the passions burn? Well, Miss Charity Youngblood was left waiting at the church some 200 years ago, and she still isn't over it.
Sheriff's Office, Deputy Palmer speaking.
Sheriff, there's someone who wants to murder me.
Yes, sir. Your name, sir?
Well, is that important?
Yes, sir, it is.
Well, I hesitate to give you my name because you might think I'm unbalanced.
Now, why would I think that?
Because of the peculiar circumstances involved.
Why don't you let me be the judge of that?
Well, this young lady wants to kill me, and she's armed.
What's her name?
Well, I wouldn't want her to get into trouble.
What?
She doesn't look like a killer, and besides, I can't prove it. It's just that I know it.
Now, sir, calm yourself and tell me, why does she want to kill you?
Because I broke our engagement.
All right, it's possible. Now, when did you break that engagement?
Oh, about 200 years ago.
Our mystery drama, A Dream of Death, was written especially for the Mystery Theater by Sam Dan and stars Michael Tolan. It is sponsored in part by new sugar-free Diet 7-Up and by the Kellogg Company, makers of Kellogg's Special K cereal. I'll be back shortly with Act One.
Hello, Ms. Goldilocks here, and welcome to my professional taste testing laboratory. Oh, Papa Bear, could you bring that case of sugar-free Diet 7-Up over here?
Another case? Miss Goldilocks, you're drinking this sugar-free Diet 7-Up like there's no tomorrow. You can't still be taste testing it.
Oh, no, Papa Bear. Sugar-free Diet 7-Up has already earned my seal of approval. It's fresh, light, natural, delicious. I drink it because I love its taste. Now hurry up.
Okay, here.
This sugar-free Diet 7-Up really tastes delicious. Ladies, if you're tired of switching from one diet drink to another, take some advice from Ms. Goldilocks. Try sugar-free Diet 7-Up and you'll say, yes, this one's just right.
I'll bear witness to that, Goldie.
Young I may be, but still I'm a man. Just turned 18 and I'll do what I can to find me a place where I can be me. Get ready for life and be free as the sea. Where do I go from here? Oh, where do I go from here? I finished school, but what lies ahead? Don't want to get trapped, want to feel free instead. All over the world, there's so much to do. The call of the sea, don't you hear it too? Where do I go from here? Oh, where do I go from here?
What about the new Navy? You'll get your chance at success, learn an exciting job, and see the world. Call toll-free 800-841-8000. That's 800-841-8000. Or see your Navy recruiter. Be someone special in the new Navy.
I know where I'm going from here.
Sometimes a few notes of an incomplete melody may steal through your head. It isn't like any tune you know, and yet you've heard it before. For no reason, a name, a noise, an aroma may evoke a dim and distant memory. A memory of a place you cannot clearly remember, but it's a place you cannot completely forget. A great poet said, "Life is a dream, and even dreams are dreams." Perhaps. But sooner or later, there must be an awakening for every dream. And for Rexford Patterson, there was the rudest awakening of all.
Hey, Patterson, wake up. Your lawyer's here.
Huh? What?
Your lawyer's here.
Lawyer? Why? What do I want a lawyer for? Where am I?
You're in a jailhouse.
Jailhouse? How did I get... I demand to see a lawyer.
Mister, no sooner said than done. He's all yours, Counselor.
All right, Sheriff, if you would leave us.
Bang on the door when you want out, Counselor.
Who are you? Why am I in here?
My name is Peter Evans. I'm an attorney. I was retained by the university on your behalf.
Why do I need a lawyer?
Why? Well, you're going to be tried for murder.
Who is?
You are.
But that's impossible.
You don't remember?
Murder?
Murder.
No.
Well, according to the sheriff, you were found unconscious on the floor of your study and she'd been shot.
Who?
Your fiancée.
Charity? I killed Charity?
No. Madeline Betty, your fiancée, Madeline Betty Powers. Who's Charity?
Charity Youngblood. She was my fiancée.
You had two of them? Look, we know you were engaged to Madeline Betty Powers. Now you say you were also engaged to a Miss Charity Youngblood?
Yes.
Well, what happened to that engagement?
I broke it.
Was the parting amicable?
No.
How did Miss Youngblood take it?
She was hurt, angry. She was violent.
What do you mean, violent?
She swore she would make me regret it. She swore she would have a revenge.
Can you prove any of this?
Oh, yes.
How?
I have it in writing.
Well, now, this may throw a new light on the case. When did you break your engagement to Miss Youngblood?
When? About 200 years ago.
Good. You see, if we can produce written evidence... When did you say you broke this engagement?
I was killed at the Battle of Monmouth in 78. And 3 years before that would be, the early spring of 1775.
Allow me to suggest the only plea that will save you. Insanity.
No, I will insist that we plead the truth.
Well, what is the truth?
Self-defense. I killed Charity Youngblood in self-defense.
All right. Look. Now, you may have killed Miss Youngblood in self-defense 200 years ago, but that's over. It's gone. It's done with. Nobody wants you for that. You're going to be tried for the murder of Madeline Betty Powers.
Exactly. Charity Youngblood is Madeline Betty Powers.
Professor Patterson.
You're my attorney. I have to tell you the truth.
But I can't believe it.
But I can prove it. Look, go to my apartment. In the middle drawer of my desk, there's a book. An old book, an old leather notebook. Bring it here. You'll see. You'll see for yourself. Proof. You read the book?
Yes. It's a diary kept by a girl named Charity Youngblood, daughter of a Connecticut gunsmith during the Revolutionary War. She was jilted by a young officer named Eli Wallington. Naturally, she was quite upset about it. But where is the proof you promised me?
I was that young officer. I was Eli Wallington.
Oh, look, Professor Patterson, if I'm to represent you, you'll simply have to tell me...
The truth. I know the truth. But I tell you the truth and you refuse to believe me.
It's impossible to believe you.
Impossible. That's the key word. Well, today's commonplace was yesterday's impossibility. People said it was impossible to transplant a heart, impossible to walk on the moon.
You're talking about reincarnation.
Last summer, I stopped at an antique shop in central Connecticut. Heaped high on a counter was a pile of old pictures, letters, books. I picked up that little notebook, the one you're now holding. I read that name, that hand-lettered name, Charity Youngblood. And suddenly I felt as if I'd been stabbed through the heart. I knew that name. I knew that name.
Please, Professor Patterson.
No, don't tell me to be calm. Don't humor me. Just listen to me. I knew that name. I knew the girl. I knew the time. I knew the place. Here, turn to the page where she describes how he proposed to her.
Just don't see how all of...
do it.
All right. This is what you want? Monday. Eli proposed marriage to me this morning.
I read the name Eli. An electric shock ran through my system. I knew I was Eli. And the entire scene ran through my mind. Exactly as she wrote it in her diary. Exactly. Good morning, Charity.
Oh, it's the high and mighty Lieutenant Eli Wallington. Come to see my father? Well, that pistol of yours isn't ready.
I've come to see you, Charity. I've been foolish.
It doesn't interest me.
Charity, I love you.
Oh, yes, you love me.
Believe me.
Oh, I believe you. You love me here. You love me now. But tomorrow you'll be somewhere else. You'll see someone else. You'll love someone else.
Men are fools. We don't realize at first how important it is to have a woman who really loves us. And you love me.
Please go.
Marry me, Charity.
Eli?
We'll have the banns on Sunday and marry the week after. Now, come, close the shop. We'll go riding this morning.
But I promised Father...
Let's be together this morning. Come with me.
Oh, Eli, you're a scoundrel.
Yes, Charity. But I'm your scoundrel.
You must never forget that, Eli. Never forget that.
What are you trying to tell me, Professor Patterson?
Don't you see, as Eli Wallington, I had lived through that scene. I knew how I felt. I loved her.
How do you know you were Eli Wallington?
How do we know you're Peter Evans? You just know, that's all.
None of this is proof in a court of law.
You can read in her diary. Here, Sunday. This morning, the banns were read in the church. But Eli never married her. Do you know why? Because Charity was right. The very next week, Eli was somewhere else. He saw someone else. He loved someone else. He never saw Charity again. And 3 years later, he was at Monmouth. Turn to Charity's diary. See what she wrote when she heard the news of Eli's death. Here's the evidence you need to defend me in court. Read it.
All right. Now, Friday. This morning, the Reverend Fallowfield came into the shop with news.
Charity, I am told that Eli Wallington has fallen at Monmouth. I thought you might wish to know.
Thank you, Reverend.
He died bravely for his country, and I hope you can find it in your heart to forgive him.
I will not forgive him.
Charity.
On that Sunday, that awful Sunday, I swore I'd kill him.
But the boy is already...
He'll live again. I'll live again. I'll find him and kill him.
Give up this frightful hatred before it destroys you.
He won't escape.
If only I could help you, Charity.
No one can help me. And no one can help Eli. Somewhere, somehow, someday, I'll have my revenge.
And when I picked up that diary in the antique shop, Mr. Evans, I was almost frozen with terror. I knew I had come back. Why shouldn't she? But you know something? After a while, I began to laugh at myself.
Why?
Well, for the same reason you're probably laughing at me. After all, we live in the modern, rational 20th century. Every night, I'd sit alone at home and wait for Charity to come and kill me. And nothing happened.
She didn't show up.
No. And you can't maintain an emotional pitch forever. And so soon, I stopped thinking about it. And then one afternoon, I was sitting in my study. Come in, it's not locked.
Good afternoon, Professor Patterson.
Yes. Let me see, you're Miss...
Powers. Madeline Betty Powers. I'm scheduled for a conference at exactly 1500 hours.
1500 hours?
3 p.m. We use this terminology at the engineering school.
Oh, I see. You're an engineering major, Miss Powers?
Have you any objections?
Oh, no, certainly not.
Professor, I require 3 credits in the humanities for my degree. I chose your American history course.
I am flattered.
It was the only one open.
You shouldn't have said that.
Oh, I have no interest in the past, only in the dynamic present. How can I survive your course?
First, show up for class, occasionally. Second, don't snore too loudly at my lectures. Third, write me a term paper.
On what subject?
Oh, any subject related to the Revolutionary War.
I know what I'll do. I'll write a novel.
Miss Powers, what are you saying?
Yes, a novel. A novel about a girl.
But, Miss Powers, you ask for an easy way out. A novel is the most difficult project.
You know what gave me the idea for it, Professor? This antique pistol on your desk.
What? Broken down, rusty old relic?
It just came to me. Just looking at it. I'll write about a girl whose father was a gunsmith.
What did you say?
In one of the 13 colonies, Connecticut.
But, Miss Powers, do you know anything about Connecticut during the Revolution?
No, I'll make it up. After all, it's a novel.
Have you ever been to Connecticut?
No, never in my life. Now, the girl, the heroine of my novel, will be beautiful, sexy. I can see her. I can just see what she looks like. And her name, I even know her name.
What is it?
I think I have a good one. Her name
No, don't tell me. Write it down on a piece of paper. But don't let me see what you're writing.
But why?
Please do as I ask, Miss Powers.
All right.
You've written her name?
Yes, Professor.
Her name is Charity. Charity Youngblood.
Professor Patterson. How did you know?
How does he know? Funny how these things work out, no? You can never tell who you'll come back as. Devil-may-care adventurer.
Getting any money, but he's entitled. Well, what's wrong with writing a letter saying that under the law, this man is entitled to receive $220 a month for attending school on a full-time basis? Believe it or not, he can take that letter with the little job, take it to the real estate people, and because he has an additional income of $220, although he isn't receiving it, it makes his chances of getting that apartment much better. And this is what I mean about the little things. Going beyond the duty every once in a while. Just go a little bit out of your way to help someone. That's my philosophy. To me, these are little things, but big things to that person. A big thing to that person.
At VA, we try a little harder to help.
Professor Patterson, a quiet teacher of history, is in jail, accused of killing his fiancée. He doesn't deny it. What he's desperately trying to prove is that he killed the one he had 200 years ago.
Where, Miss Powers, have you heard that name, Charity Youngblood, before?
Nowhere. I made it up.
You made it up?
Well, Charity sounds like a name a girl might have had 200 years ago. And Youngblood has a kind of colonial quality to it. Charity Youngblood. It just sort of popped into my head.
And everything just came to you, the whole idea for the novel, the heroine, her name, it all occurred to you just now?
Yes, that's right, Professor Patterson. I simply can't account for it. It has no scientific basis. But suddenly, I have feelings that I've never experienced before.
What sort of feelings?
I can't describe them. Vague ideas, hazy pictures.
Of what?
But this woman, this girl, this Charity Youngblood, she's a creature of my own imagination. I only conjured her up a few moments ago, and yet she seems to be alive.
Give it up, Miss Powers. You know, sometimes when you write fiction, the character takes over, and unless you're a skilled professional author, this can be dangerous. Just attend class, look intelligent, and you'll pass the course.
Oh, Professor, that wouldn't be ethical.
Miss Powers, we'll just let that be our secret. All right. Hello.
Professor Patterson, this is Miss Powers.
What? Miss Powers?
Madeline Betty Powers. Did I wake you? I'm sorry. I know it's midnight, but I must see you at once. Please.
Well,
It's important.
Where?
Well, I'm calling from the all-night cafeteria at the Student Union building.
I'll be there.
Oh, thank you, Professor. I had to see you. And I didn't think it would be proper for me to go to your apartment at this hour.
Well, what seems to be the problem, Miss Powers?
The story.
The story?
The story of Charity Youngblood.
Well, I thought we decided to drop it.
But that's the problem. I can't seem to get it out of my mind.
Well, I'm sure you...
It's taken over. I can't think of anything else. I'm obsessed by it. This girl, Charity Youngblood. I know her so well, I sometimes think... No, you'll laugh.
No, tell me.
I sometimes think she's me.
Well, of course she's you.
What are you saying?
Well, when you write fiction, every character has to be yourself in one form or another.
No, it's more than that. It's a feeling in my bones. I seem to have an urge to do something.
What?
I don't know. But I keep writing. Now, I've written 20 pages so far, and most of the time it doesn't even seem that I'm the one who's doing the writing. I get the feeling that I'm just holding the pen, and my hand is being guided. I'd like you to read what I've written so far. Please.
Miss Powers, you've been working too hard.
No, I just feel that something is happening to me. I seem to feel I have some sort of mission.
What kind of mission?
Well, I don't know. But every day I feel it's becoming clearer. But I still have no idea of what it is.
And every day, Mr. Evans, she would hand me a chapter of her novel. And that novel will win me acquittal in court.
Why?
Because each chapter is word for word a day in Charity Youngblood's original diary. In Madeline Betty's own handwriting.
Where's that novel now?
In my desk. I did everything I could to get her to stop writing, hoping that somehow I could get her mind off it. But of course that was useless. After all, if she really was Charity Youngblood, and there was no doubt in my mind about it, nothing would stop her from finding it out. And every day she was getting closer. Not just to Charity, but to me.
Professor, I decided to give Charity a love interest. We're about to have the war, and I've created a young cavalry officer of the Connecticut Brigade. I have a name for him. Eli Wallington.
Eli Wallington?
Yes.
Miss Powers, you've already written more than enough to earn a good grade. It's already longer than the average term paper.
Oh, but I have to finish.
Why? This whole thing started as a term project,
Yes, it
and
may
as far...
have started that way, but now it's something that belongs to me, and I can't help it. I have to keep writing until...
Until?
Until something happens.
What? What is supposed to happen?
I don't know. But I'm afraid. I'm very much afraid.
I was afraid too, Mr. Evans. Afraid that at any time she would suddenly realize that she wanted to kill me.
But surely you realize...
What? You mean I had nothing to be afraid of? Suppose someone's determined to kill you, and you know it. You tell me.
You know what I think? Although it's academic now. I think you should have gone to a psychiatrist.
I did. I went to the top. I went to the head of the Department of Psychiatry at the University Hospital.
All right. Now, let us see if we can delve into the core of these hallucinations.
No, let's not, Dr. Laufer. You see, these are not hallucinations.
No?
No. These are matters of fact. I know them to be true.
You're talking about reincarnation.
Yes. And you obviously don't believe in it.
That's hardly the point. It may exist, for all I know. However, if it does, then we have no way of knowing who we were in a past lifetime.
Perhaps we had no way of knowing. Perhaps today, with heightened powers of communication, perhaps our modern scientific technology has upset certain natural balances. Whatever. The fact is, I know.
If you know, you know. What do you want me to do?
Suggest a way I can live with it.
I'm afraid I don't understand.
Look, if a man was an alcoholic or a drug addict or a gambler, and he said to you, this is what's wrong with me, how do I live with it? What would you tell him?
You are oversimplifying.
I am I'll coin the word. Reincarnate. How do I live with it? especially since my life is in danger.
Very well. Why is your life in danger?
I told you. Charity Youngblood wants her revenge. And she's here in the person of Madeline Betty Powers to exact it.
Don't you see what you must do?
No.
This is all within the framework you yourself have created. If you remove the motive, you can prevent the crime.
I still don't know what you
If
mean.
she wants to kill you because you jilted her, well, all you have to do is give her satisfaction.
How?
Marry her.
Marry her? Marry Madeline Betty? She's hardly my type.
You're 32 years old. You're not married. Are you going with anyone?
No. But marry her? How do I know she'll have me?
Were you once Eli Wallington?
Yes.
Was she once Charity Youngblood?
Yes.
She'll have you.
Oh, Professor Patterson, you really didn't have to take me to dinner.
Well, our conference ran late. We have to eat.
Well, I mean, to a place like this.
Well, this is a very nice place. Or so I thought.
Oh.
Would you care to dance?
Oh, no, thank you. I dance rather poorly.
Oh, I can't believe that.
Why can't you believe it?
Because you're so charming.
I don't think so. At least no one ever told me that.
But I think so.
Do you? Why?
Well, it's a subjective thing.
I lied to you just now. I said I dance poorly. The truth is, I don't dance at all.
Now, how is that possible?
Girls who don't get asked usually don't bother to learn. I don't know why I'm telling you all this. It's just that since the day I met you, I started thinking. I don't know how to describe it.
Well, what were you thinking?
Oh, crazy things. That is, for me. I suddenly wanted to write a book. Why, I'll never know. And I began thinking of a girl who lived hundreds of years ago in a place I've never heard of. I can't understand it.
Madeline Betty, maybe I can help you.
Would you, Professor Patterson?
Rex. Go on, say it. Call me Rex.
Rex.
I've also felt something since the time you walked into my study for conference. And I've been trying to analyze it. And I finally discovered what it is. It's love.
Professor Patterson.
Rex. And so I'm asking you, I hope that you will marry me.
If you're going along with what Rex believes, they're playing the scene again. Rex and Madeline Betty have now reached the point where Eli proposed to Charity. Charity said yes, but will Madeline Betty? Yes or no will be the first word you will hear when we return shortly with Act 3.
And now, another story of the ball and chain, as Kellogg's Special K presents The Library.
Welcome to the public library. May I help you, sir?
Yes, I'd like to check out... I'd like to check out Famous Laundromats of the World by Audrey Schnorbart.
Sir, excuse me, but isn't that ball and chain you're wearing just like the ones they use in the Kellogg's Special K commercial?
This ball and chain?
Yes, that one. How are you going to get rid of it?
Well, you know, lots of good exercises, and by eating smart at every meal, starting with the Special K breakfast.
Don't you have to watch your calories?
Yes, and the Special K breakfast is less than 240 calories.
Less than 240 calories?
Right. A 1-ounce bowl of high-protein Special K, 4 ounces of skim milk, tomato juice, and coffee. It's really tasty, and it's going to help me get rid of this ball and chain. I'd say it's long overdue, get it?
Your happy ending could begin with the Special K breakfast from Kellogg's.
Who knows how to help you solve your shopping problems? Your Better Business Bureau knows.
Listen, Lou, this fellow is at the door about the home repair, you know, and he wants me to sign the contract now. What'll I do?
You don't have to sign that contract now, madam.
You're not Lou. Who are you?
I'm the man from the Better Business Bureau with some advice to help you to protect yourself. Read all the documents before you sign and take your time. He'll come back tomorrow. And incidentally, keep a copy of any form you do sign. And be sure you understand what you're signing.
Oh, thank you for telling me.
No need to thank me, madam. That's what Better Business Bureaus are for, to help protect consumers like you.
Eliminate the motive, and you prevent the crime. Excellent advice. And Rexford Patterson has taken it. He has just proposed to Madeline Betty Powers because it's the only way he can think of to keep her from killing him. And now, she looks at him and says,
Yes, Professor Patterson. Yes.
You can't agree to marry a man and call him Professor Patterson.
Rex.
I know it's sudden, Madeline Betty. We can get married after you graduate.
Oh, I'll marry you anytime you say, Rex. I love you.
I love you, too.
I fell in love with you. Must have been at first sight.
Why?
Why? Because you're handsome.
I was hoping I had other qualities.
Oh, you do. You do. But being handsome's part of it. Why did you fall in love with me?
Because you're beautiful.
Oh.
No, you don't believe it.
No, well, I feel beautiful. You make me feel beautiful. Oh, Rex. I can't believe this is happening to me.
It's happening. It's happening to both of us.
And I'll be such a good wife for you.
What is it?
Oh, my head.
What's the matter?
Suddenly feels so light, so clear.
Well, that's good.
And different.
Different?
Yes, different.
How?
The book. You know the novel that I'm writing for the course?
Yes.
All of a sudden, I don't want to write it anymore.
Why not?
I don't know how it came into my head in the first place. Just as suddenly as it came, it's gone out.
Gone out?
That girl, Charity?
Oh, yes, Charity, the heroine of your book.
Yes, that's her name? Yes, I seem to remember. Well, she's gone from my mind, too. I simply can't understand how it happened.
Well, why bother?
Yes, that's right. Oh, why bother about anything except us? Except you and me.
So you proposed to a professor and you were accepted. She seemed happy. Apparently you were reconciled. What was the problem?
The problem was, Mr. Evans, I didn't really love her. Just as Eli didn't really love Charity.
But within the theory you'd set up...
Don't call it a theory. It's a fact.
Oh, whatever. But this is what you had to do. You had to marry the girl.
And I tried hard. But she made it impossible. She was...
What did she do?
Nothing, really. She was just so grateful to me. You pay attention to a wallflower, and what you create for yourself is a clinging vine. A vine that can strangle and suffocate you. And besides...
Yes?
Besides, there was Susan Miller. Come in, Madeline Betty.
I'm not Madeline Betty, but I came in anyhow.
Well, how do you do?
Professor Patterson?
Yes?
I'm Susan Miller, of the English department.
You're new here.
Oh, I received my teaching appointment last week. Early American Lit.
A favorite field of mine.
Well, that's the scoop on campus. Anything early American, see Rex Patterson. I just thought we'd chat.
Fix you a drink?
A soft one.
Naturally.
Diet, if you have it. I'm watching my weight.
Why? I think it's most attractive the way it is.
Well, If you think so, I'll keep it that way. Did you know that General Burgoyne wrote a play?
Yes, it was called Maid of the Oaks.
And it was produced in New York during the Revolution.
Yes, and I'll tell you who was in the cast. And that's how it all started, Mr. Evans. Easy, relaxed, delightful. There is such a thing as love at first sight. And it was there for both of us.
But Madeline Betty.
Madeline Betty. Well, I knew I had to do something about her.
Yeah, exactly. So you killed her.
No. No, that's not the reason.
You wanted to marry Susan Miller.
It never reached that point. I mean, we didn't get that far.
But the prosecution will know about Susan Miller.
No. They don't have to. No one really knew.
No one?
No one. Except Susan, myself, and Madeline Betty.
I'll get it. Hello?
Hello. Is Rex, Professor Patterson there?
Oh, who's calling?
This is Susan. Miss Susan Miller.
Rex, it's for you, Miss Susan Miller.
Oh, thank you, Madeline. Yes, Susan?
Rex, how about a drive in the country?
I have considerable work to do.
But I thought you had nothing to do all weekend.
So did I, but, I have this research project.
I see. Did your project answer the phone?
No. No, it's nothing like that.
Well, maybe we can get together tomorrow.
Sure thing. Goodbye.
Bye.
And who is Susan Miller?
She teaches here.
I'll bet. What does she teach?
English. You could look it up in the catalog.
I'm sorry. I'm so jealous. Forgive me.
You're forgiven.
I just can't believe my good luck, that's all. Rex, you said you'd marry me any time I chose.
Well, yes.
Well, I choose now.
Now?
Well, next month. I want Mother and Dad and my sisters, and I have some cousins. I'd like to see the looks on their faces. The first Sunday next month. That's almost 4 weeks from now. Is that all right?
Well,
You haven't changed your mind, have you?
But I had changed my mind, Doctor.
I see.
I wish I knew what doctors meant when they say, I see.
Patterson, you are the one who set up the ground rules. You said she was Charity Youngblood, reincarnated to have her revenge.
I know. I know.
And using that, I suggested marriage. It was your only chance.
I realize that, but you see, I really don't believe that anymore.
You don't?
I should have listened to you when you called it an hallucination.
You agree with that now?
I think I do.
What caused this radical change?
I'm in love.
With whom?
A woman.
A woman?
Yes, a woman. Not a girl, not an immature, neurotic girl, but a woman. A woman who is beautiful, intelligent, who has everything in common with me, who has something to offer me, just as I have something to offer her.
And what of Madeline Betty or Charity Youngblood?
Charity Youngblood was an adolescent delusion.
You're hardly an adolescent.
In many respects, I was. I fell in love with the idea of Charity Youngblood, this voluptuous creature, but...
Yes.
You grow up when you meet a real woman.
As I said before, you're hardly a boy.
It takes some of us longer than others.
And Madeline Betty? What of her?
She'll have to grow up, too.
Somehow, all this, it doesn't seem fair to her.
Life itself is unfair, Doctor.
You make everything seem very neat. Somehow, I don't think you'll be able to unwrap the package as easily as you think.
But why? Why?
I told you, Madeline Betty. I told
But
you.
you said you loved me.
I thought I did.
No.
Please, Madeline Betty, don't make this difficult for both of us.
Oh, Rex, please. marry me?
No, it wouldn't be right.
I told everyone, my parents, my sister, my friends. Oh, Rex, what can I tell them now?
Would you want us to live a lie?
I don't care. Rex, why did you do this to me?
These things happen.
You loved because I was here. You went somewhere else. You saw someone else. Now you love someone else.
What do you say?
I don't know what I'm saying.
Look, you'll find someone else, too.
I'm sorry, Rex. I've been speaking to you like a fool. You want to break our engagement?
Only because it would be best for both of us.
For whatever reason. I won't stand in your way.
Excuse me. Hello?
Rex?
Could you...
She doesn't have to call back. I'm leaving. But before I go, Rex, I'd like to have a memento of us. I'll leave you what I wrote about Charity Youngblood, and, could I have...
Anything, Madeline Betty.
That...
Anything.
Pistol, that old broken antique pistol?
Well, certainly, of course.
Well, goodbye, Eli.
What did you say?
Nothing.
What did you call me?
I called you by your name. Goodbye.
That night, Mr. Evans, she left the college. Her roommate called me and said Madeline Betty had disappeared.
Didn't you feel that perhaps you should investigate?
No. Well, to tell you the truth, I felt relieved. I thought she was embarrassed and had decided to go somewhere, and I forgot all about her.
You forgot? How could you forget?
Maybe I wanted to forget. Anyway, about a week later, I came home. It was late at night.
Good evening.
What are you doing here?
I have a key, remember?
Look, what can I do for you?
Nothing. Ask me what I can do for you.
Well, what?
I can kill you.
What do you say?
Yes. I can kill you very easily. And I'm going to.
Madeline Betty,
Who are you talking to? My name is Charity.
Charity?
Yes, Eli. Charity. Remember Charity?
No, you're Madeline
It's
Betty.
taken me such a long time to find you, Eli. Such a long time.
Listen to me. I'm not Eli. I'm Rex Patterson, and you're not Charity. You're Madeline Betty Towers.
Sweet talk, Eli. You always could do it, but it doesn't go with me anymore.
Look, Madeline Betty, I'll have to ask you to leave.
Oh, I will. After I kill you.
No, you can't kill me.
I can. With this.
What are you talking about? With that rusty old antique pistol?
No, not anymore. I brought it home to Father, to Isaiah Youngblood's gun shop, and I said, Father, fix this pistol. And he did, you see, how he cleaned it and oiled it. See how it shines now.
Madeline
Don't
Betty.
move any closer, not one step closer. See how it sparkles. He gave it a new frammer and a fresh flint, fitted a new flash pan, and then primed it. Poured in the powder, rammed home the ball, and now it's ready to fire.
Charity, no.
Get away from me. Take your hands off.
No.
Get away from
Drop it.
me. Let go of me, Eli.
Charity,
Eli.
drop it. We struggled for the gun, and at the last second, the barrel must have turned toward her, and she pulled the trigger.
And that's your defense?
That's my defense.
You want me to plead that defense?
I want you to tell the jury exactly what happened, why it happened, and the way it happened. Show them the written proof.
You're sure that's what you want me to do?
Yes, I'm sure. I'm sure because it's the truth.
Well, I hope the jury buys it.
Would you have bought Professor Patterson's story? You would. A pity you weren't on the jury. Because 12 good men and true, actually 6 of them were women, deliberated for a full week and decided that Rex would have to pay the price. Not just the price for Madeline Madeline Betty, but also, as it turned out, the price for charity. I'll be back shortly.
This is Ray Scott for the President's Council on Physical Fitness and Sports. Sometimes we're accused of exaggerating the importance of a game, along with millions of Americans across the country. Well, maybe so. But one thing is sure. We certainly under-exaggerate the importance of physical fitness and sports among our children. We send our kids to the best schools we can to get the best education they can, and yet we often completely neglect their physical education. Phys ed departments are usually the first to suffer when budgets are cut. That's why we urge you to support the physical education departments in your schools and to make sure your kids are getting the kind of programs and instruction that will do them the most good. Physical fitness can help them develop into healthier adults and help them live up to their full potential. For more information, write the President's Council on Physical Fitness and Sports, Washington, D.C., 20201.
Can a desire for revenge span the centuries? Not a comforting thought, exactly. It's all most of us can do to hew to the straight and narrow during one lifetime. If we're going to have to pay for the sins of other incarnations and existences, well, who has the price? But there is no price for our next meeting, when we shall enjoy another suspenseful experience. Our cast included Michael Tolan, Marion Seldes, E.V. Juster, Ira Lewis, and Robert Dryden. The entire production was under the direction of Hyman Brown. And now, a preview of our next tale.
The answer's still the same. No dog, no baby. Just be happy with these dumb plants. They're bad enough. They have whole bloody windows.
I hate you.
Yeah, look, I'll let you keep them.
I hate you. I wish you would.
What did you say?
I said I hate you. I wish you would.
Did you really say... Hey. Hey, what? Hey, what's this? The bloody plants are on my neck. Hey, Barbara, they're all around me. They're choking me. I can't get them off. Hey, Barbara, they're too strong. Barbara, don't stand there. Get them off. No. Get the scissors. Barbara, the scissors.
I hate you. I hate you. I want you dead.
Radio Mystery Theater was sponsored in part by Anheuser-Busch Incorporated, brewers of Budweiser. This is E.G. Marshall inviting you to return to our Mystery Theater for another adventure in the macabre. Until next time, pleasant dreams.
WDAF, Kansas City.
The CBS Radio Mystery Theater presents... Come in. Welcome. I'm E.G. Marshall. Welcome to the fear you can hear. Welcome to the world of terrifying imagination. It gives me a fiendish delight to invite you on a very unusual expedition. For in our tale to come, we are going to travel not to distant shores, not to outer space, but instead backwards in time. Time as the archaeologist knows it, the depths of time. Strange thing about archaeology, it seeks to understand life by the study of death.
Can we try to uncover the rest of the body, Professor?
Of course. Jimmy, get the 3 or 4 fellows to help you, and do it carefully. There's no way of telling the body's position.
Sure thing, Professor.
Oh, this is awful. What are we going to do?
Don't worry. Ancient bodies are your specialty. Fresh ones are mine.
But how do you know it's murder?
You surprise me. A suicide may dig her own grave, but you'd hardly expect her to pull the dirt in after her.
Our mystery drama, Dig Me Deadly, was written especially for the Mystery Theater by S.J. Wilson and stars Louise Larrabee. It is sponsored in part by the Kellogg Company, makers of Kellogg's Special K cereal. I'll be back shortly with Act 1.
And now another tale of the ball and chain. At Kellogg's Special K presents
Last Tango in Pittsburgh.
There I was at Raoul's All-Night Tango Lounge.
My little orchid, will you tango with me?
It was Raoul.
You're a splendid dancer.
Thank you.
But what was that?
What was what?
That sound effect.
Oh, I'm a few pounds overweight, and this ball and chain points out how my extra weight can get in the way.
I'm pointing you back to your chair.
Our heroine decided to lose that extra weight. She exercised and ate smart at every meal, starting with a Special K breakfast. A bowl of Special K, skim milk, tomato juice, and coffee. It's less than 240 calories, 99% fat-free, and 100% delicious. After a while, she was rid of the ball and chain and back at Raoul's.
Darling, you're looking fantastic.
What a happy ending.
What ending? We're just getting started.
Raoul, get lost.
Your happy ending could begin with the Kellogg's Special K breakfast.
And that's another tale of the ball and chain.
Frank Lieber with a special announcement exclusively for Radio 1080 listeners. Metroplex Tire and Appliance Stores are offering a front-end alignment that's guaranteed to last for 5 years or 50,000 miles. A regular $20 value, but just for our listeners, the price is, you guessed it, $10.80. $10.80 for most American cars. And the guarantee is good nationwide. But you must ask for the Radio 1080 special at Metroplex Tire and Appliance. In Carrollton at Beltline and Josie Lane. In Town East at Town East Boulevard and Gus Thomason Road. Ask for the Radio 1080 special at either location. And for just $10.80, you'll have your car's front-end alignment taken care of for the next 5 years or 50,000 miles. And at no extra charge, your two front tires will be expertly balanced. Metroplex Tire and Appliance in Carrollton and Town East. And watch for their new location opening soon at 4102 Lemon Avenue, just 3 blocks north of Oak Lawn.
And I know that death is no respecter of time. It often comes unbidden, unexpectedly, even fiercely and murderously. So, get your pith helmets, your sunglasses, your axes, shovels, and all the other paraphernalia you will need to join us in Dig Me Deadly.
Young man, why aren't we on a road? Why do we have to cross the desert?
Because it's the fastest way to where we're going, Detective Scrubshaw.
Not Scrubshaw, Trubshaw.
Trubshaw.
Detective Claudia Trubshaw. And I'd bet your last toothpick, which I wish you'd take out of your mouth, that we're really crossing the Rocky Mountains.
They're in Colorado. This is Arizona.
I know it's Arizona, Sheriff Wiley. It's where I came to spend my vacation with my sister before you showed up with all your hornswoggling.
Oh, ma'am, I did no such thing.
Now, what else would you call it? I came here to get away from L.A. and all that smog and to breathe in the pure, fresh, clean air of Tucson. Now, thanks to you, I've got more sand in my mouth than the whole Sonora Desert.
That's Mexico. This Arizona.
I've got news for you. It's left Mexico and settled in my lungs. Now, do you mean to tell me that in the entire state of Arizona there isn't a police officer, anybody who can cover this case, that you had to drag me into this no-woman's land?
Those are my orders, ma'am.
But why would my boss in Los Angeles assign me to an Arizona case?
Well, I guess he knew you were in the neighborhood.
That makes as much sense as kissing one of those cactuses.
They're called saguaros.
Now stop changing the subject. Now, will you tell me where we are going?
Like I said, west of Naco.
Good for you. You have advanced to the next plateau. And why are we going there?
Because that's where they're digging.
Superb. Now, who are they?
The kids that are digging.
Wiley, Did you ever have your IQ tested?
Not since I know.
Well, don't. It's probably lower than Death Valley. And I know that's in California. Now, why are they digging?
For bodies, I think.
Stop this car at once.
Well, what's wrong, Detective?
Now, I'm not riding another minute until you tell me what this is all about.
Well, what more do you want to know?
Why I'm sitting in this rolling junk heap on my way to West Naco or wherever.
Well, there are these kids there.
What kids?
These kids from some school near L.A. Every summer they come and they dig up things. They're supposed to be real old.
In other words, students working on an archaeological dig.
Never could pronounce that word.
Forget the pronunciation. Just try and make some sense.
Well, a few days ago, I am sitting in the sheriff's office when this here girl comes by.
Excuse me.
Sure, miss. Come on in.
Is the sheriff here?
Well, the truth is, there is no sheriff.
Then who's in charge?
Well, I guess I am. Sergeant Deputy Sheriff, you could say, and name is Wiley.
I'm looking for help.
That's why I'm here. What can I do for you?
But you're not a real sheriff.
Well, I don't get paid for it, but they give me the badge. Why don't you try me?
I'm one of the students working at the Broadfields. The dig?
Why don't you sit down?
And there's some trouble there.
And what kind of trouble?
Well, it's just it. I can't tell exactly, but someone's following me. Wherever I go, I have the feeling someone right behind me or hiding and waiting to do something to me. Something terrible.
Isn't there anyone in charge?
Well, Professor Wilkerson, but he says I'm imagining things.
Well, now, have you ever really seen anyone following you?
No, but only the other day someone went through my bureau and my luggage.
And are they messing?
No, but things were all messed up.
Now, what's your name?
Rogers. Edith Rogers.
Miss Rogers. Now, do you have any idea why somebody'd be tailing you or looking through your things?
I think someone's trying to kill me.
Kill you? Hey, that's serious. Why would anyone want to do that?
Because they're afraid of me, scared of what I could do.
Well, you don't look like you could trouble a horned toad. What are they scared of?
Well, you see, no, I can't tell you. If they found out I came here, they'd do it faster. Anyway, you can't help me. Maybe nobody can.
Hey, wait a minute. Wait there.
Then what did you do?
I phoned that Professor Wilkerson. Say, Detective, can we get this thing going again?
All right, but only as long as you tell me everything you know.
Well, I called up that professor, and I told him about it. And he said that it was the girl's first summer there, and that working in the hot sun and seeing all those graves and skeletons was something she just wasn't used to. Then he said he'd take care of it and for me not to worry. Well, now, at first I thought I'd better leave well enough alone, except that the whole thing just kept a-pecking at me. So, a couple of days later, I dropped by the Broadfield spread and was told by a girl who roomed with this Edith Rogers that that is to say, this Edith Rogers here, she had left.
Did she say when?
I didn't ask.
Did she say how or why?
No, I didn't ask that either.
Were her clothes and luggage gone?
Gosh, I didn't think to ask that neither.
Then how come you thought to ask for me?
Well, I called this friend of my father's who is Assistant Deputy Chief of Police.
Say no more. You called my boss, Morgan. In other words, this isn't an official assignment, is it?
Well, he told me you were in Tucson and to speak to you.
And dragging me through this sand heap is your idea of speaking to me. Wiley, if I admit something to you, will you promise never to tell anyone?
Sure thing, Detective.
I know of only one person who's a bigger fool than you.
Who'd that be?
Me.
Detective Troopshaw? I'm Julian Wilkerson. One of the students tells me you'd like to see me.
Only in an unofficial capacity, Professor. If you can be of assistance, fine. If not, I'll understand.
Well, I'll try.
Professor, this is Sheriff Wiley.
Oh, yes. How do you do?
Hi.
What's it all about?
The Rogers girl. I understand she's not here any longer.
Yes. I knew that girl would be more trouble than it was worth to bring her out here.
Then why was she here?
Oh, she was thinking of archaeology as a major. You see, she apparently comes from a difficult home. She had nothing to occupy her this summer, and the dean asked me if we could fit her in. Try to make her feel she belongs to something. A group.
Apparently it didn't work out.
No. She moped a lot, got depressed, suspicious, felt she wasn't wanted. I did everything I could. I got two of the nicest girls to room with her.
Who are they?
Oh, Janine Boulanger, a French exchange student, specializes in atomic physics. And Susan Lathrop, a straight-A student, very outgoing, very bright.
Were there any young men?
Yes, and I didn't like doing it, but I got Jimmy Trumbull to spend some of his free time with her. He's our prize. He's a brilliant fellow. We call him our Libby.
Libby? Well, now that's a girl's name, eh?
Wiley, you're famous for not asking questions. Why not live up to your reputation? Professor Libby developed the carbon-14 dating system.
Oh, he did he?
Yes. Anyway, Edith didn't take to the work or to anyone. It's no surprise that she just dropped out.
Are her belongings still here?
Well, I wouldn't know, but Susan would. She's in the specimen shed next door. Let me call her. Sue Lathrop.
Yes, Professor?
Well, can you come to my office for a minute?
Wiley, why don't you do something constructive, like seeing if you can get me something to wash down this sandstorm I swallowed, thanks to you.
Sure thing. Detective, anything special?
Just something soft, wet, and cold, please.
I'll be back in a minute. Oh, sorry, miss. I didn't mean to knock.
Oh, that's all right.
Susan, I'd like you to meet Detective Troopshaw.
A detective? From the police?
Yes, but not on official business.
What for, then?
I was wondering if Edith Rogers' belongings were still in her room.
Oh, Edith? Oh, no. She took everything when she left.
When was that?
Oh, about 4 or maybe 5 days ago. I'm not sure.
Do you have any idea why she left?
Not really. She didn't tell anyone she was going, but then she just didn't get... Well, what can I say?
Susan's trying to be discreet. The fact is, the girl just didn't belong.
Did anyone notify her family?
I know I didn't.
We just assumed that she hitchhiked her way home, or perhaps to one of the youth communes around here.
Then, at this point, we don't know if she left or disappeared.
But what would make you think she disappeared?
She went for help to what's supposed to be the local sheriff's office. She was frightened, thought she was being followed, that someone wanted to kill her.
That's just like her. She was so silly, so romantic, always making up stories where so-and-so loved her madly and so-and-so was terribly jealous of her. And of course she was always at the top of the trying.
I suppose we could phone her home and see if she got there.
You fool! You stupid idiot fool! Come to
Well, no call to get yourself all heated up. It's just an old arrowhead.
The sign says radioactive area. Do not enter.
Sounds like Wiley tried to get me a bottle of atomic soda pop.
Oh, that's Janine. Let's see what the fuss is about.
Now what, Wiley?
Well, it beats me. I just picked up this here arrowhead in that shed, and she comes down on me like an eagle on a stray lamb.
That is not an arrowhead, young fella. It's a spear point that happens to be about 12,000 years old. Trouble is, it's recently been through carbon-14 dating.
That?
Yes, and it may still be hot.
Like an atom bomb?
Hopefully, Wiley, you'll go up in a mushroom any minute.
Oh, Professor, I am so sorry.
Wiley, just give that arrowhead to Janine. She's wearing protective gloves. And then follow her. She'll take you to the decontamination room. You'll probably be all right.
Don't look so worried, Wiley. There's no chance of it affecting your brains.
You're sure now, Detective?
Absolutely.
Follow me, you goose. Quickly.
So that stone point is 12,000 years old.
Yes. Well, that's as close as we can get within the margins given by C14. But Jimmy is now working with radioactive potassium, which can give us an earlier reading.
I thought 10,000 to 15,000 was about the earliest records we have of man on this continent.
Well, we've got some surprises in store. Not only for you, Detective, but for the world.
Really? Care to give me a clue?
I already have.
I filed that one away.
Which one?
With C14, you can date back some 50,000 years, but with potassium, you can go back to at least 1 million years, right?
Yes, that was the clue.
Interesting. What are you hoping for?
It's no longer a hope, Detective. But you'll have to be patient and wait until we release our reports.
What's that all about?
I don't know. The kids seem to be heading for the northwestern grids. I've got to go.
I'll bet it's Wiley again.
Nothing like this has happened before.
Nothing like Wiley has happened
Susan?
before.
Susan, do you know what's happening?
No, Professor, but it's something exciting. Maybe a new find.
I hope they didn't have to dig as much sand as I've got in my shoes. I'll catch up with you.
Hi, Detective, aren't you coming? Someone screamed.
Riley, where have you been?
I've been in that shed with that French refrigerator.
I need your shoulder.
Well, what for?
To lean on so I can get the Sahara out of my shoes.
Okay, but you better hurry.
Riley, no matter what has happened up there, you've got to do something for me.
What's that?
In that shed, can you remember what you saw there?
Pretty much.
Then listen carefully.
Oh, bon Dieu, it's a woman's hand. And I know whose it is. By the ring. The silver band.
Well, whose is it?
Edith Rogers.
Oh. All right, no one touch anything until Detective Troopshaw gets here.
A detective?
A lady detective in here.
Okay, kids, one detective coming up. Let me through.
All right.
The detective.
Yes. Let the detective through, please.
Well, from the looks of it, here's a lady who definitely needs a hand. Who found her?
I did.
And who are you?
James Trumbull.
I told you about him, remember?
Oh, yes, you're Libby, as you call him.
Yes.
But there doesn't seem to be any digging around here. Is this the way you found her? Just one hand sticking out of the sand?
No. I was on my way to the datum point to figure out what the next grid would be when I passed this place and noticed that someone had been digging around here. The sand wasn't as flat as the surrounding area and not as compact. So I began to brush away the top layer until I uncovered this one hand.
Professor, have I your permission to supervise this matter until I get official regulations?
Yes, of course.
Thanks. Has anyone been able to identify the hand?
Susan, she said it is Edith Rogers.
What makes you think that?
The silver band. I was with her when she brought it in town a couple of weeks ago.
She bought a silver wedding band?
I asked her why, and she said she expected to be married very soon. It just sounded like one of her crazy stories, so I forgot about it.
I see. Well, rings have been known to change fingers. Can we try and uncover the rest of the body?
Of course. Jimmy, get 3 or 4 fellows to help you. Do it carefully, please. There's no way of telling the body's position.
Sure thing, Professor.
Oh, this is awful. What are we going to do?
Don't worry, Professor. Ancient bodies are your specialty. Fresh ones are mine.
Yes, but this is liable to stop our work. This place will be crawling with police, newsmen, television crews, what all.
Really? Why? Isn't murder a little too common to rate that kind of attention?
But how do you know it is murder?
Miss Lathrop, you surprise me. A suicide may dig her own grave, but you'd hardly expect her to pull the dirt in after her.
Pit's very shallow, Professor. I don't think we should use shovels. Shall we use the brushes from here?
Sure, but let's get a move on, eh?
Ah! Look, the hand is attached only to bones, to a skeleton.
Oh, no, I've never seen it.
Oh, now, will you all stop crowding? You'd think this was a Hollywood opening.
Oh, Janine is right. There is no body. The hands are attached to a skeleton.
Fully fleshed hands attached to a body that is nothing more than bones. A skeleton. You know, Mother Earth is very miserly about giving up her secrets. But little by little, man has dug them out of her. But never before has there been this kind of puzzle, in which the hands belong to the present and the body to the past. We'll be back shortly with Act 2.
Hi, I'm Hal Linden. There's a lot of talk these days about America's energy crisis. Talk about doing without heat, about doing without our cars, about what's going to happen if we run out of fuel. Well, we may not have to run out of fuel if we all work together to conserve the fuel we have. That means turning your thermostats down to 68 degrees during the day and turning them down to 60 at night. It means turning off lights, TV sets, and electrical appliances the minute we're finished with them. It means driving no faster than 50, starting or joining carpools, avoiding the kind of stop-and-go motoring that eats up gas by the gallon. In short, it means saving every ounce of energy we can, every chance we get. So please, do your part to make the fuel supply stretch a little further. For your own sake. Don't be selfish. Don't be foolish. Don't be foolish.
This message from the Federal Energy Office and the Advertising Council.
You don't just make a profit in the beef business. You work for it. Working to keep your feeders out of a growth slump. Fighting the diseases and everyday stress that threatens your herd. And always sweating it out with a tight profit margin. Through it all, one name is there to help you. Paramycin. When the going gets rough, nothing works harder, more ways, to give you the kind of protection you need. Paramycin. Depend on it. From Pfizer. More for growth and health.
We return to our dilemma. The question is, what is a bunch of young, bright college students going to do about a body that has fully fleshed hands attached to the bones of a skeleton? And what is our lady detective, Claudia Troopshaw, going to do with this seemingly improbable corpse?
Yes, Captain. You've got to tell me under whose jurisdiction this case belongs. No, there is no local police department. The hands may be the Roger girls, but the body, wait till you get this, it's a skeleton, and the professor tells me it's over 2,500 years old. Stop yelling. I know it sounds crazy, but they just did a C14 test on one of the bones, and that's the result. 2,500 years old. But not the hands. Whose case is it, I want to know? Mine? Why mine? Well, will you get in touch with the FBI at once? No, I can't use anyone here to help me that's already here. Why not? Because they're all under suspicion, that's why not. Lunkhead. It's nice of you, Miss Boulanger, to take time off to have this little talk with me.
Professor Wilkerson said I should answer all your questions to the best that I can.
Do you always do what Professor Wilkerson asks?
Oh, yes, he is a marvelous man. He is so brilliant.
I'm sure. Tell me, do you have many friends among the other students?
I don't think so.
Not even Jimmy Trumbull?
Oh, he is nice, but he is such a little boy.
And the others?
I am afraid they're all too jealous.
Do you know why?
Oh, they think that the professor treats me like a favorite.
Well, does he?
Of course not. But I have studied all this and done it in France before, so I know it very well. And they do not.
I think I understand. This body we found, you've seen it?
I could not bear to look.
No, but you did. Now tell me, in all your work, both here and in France, have you ever seen anything like it?
No, absolutely not.
And you couldn't explain how two perfectly fleshed hands could be attached to a prehistoric skeleton?
It's against all possibilities.
What did you think of Edith Rogers?
She was very unfortunate.
In what way?
Oh, she so badly needed some kind of an attachment. With a boy, I mean. And I think she almost found it. But then that Susan Lathrop got in the way and kept it from happening.
How do you mean?
Oh, I don't like talking gossip. But Edith Rogers liked very much this Jimmy Trumbull. But that Susan, who blows hot one day and cold the next, makes up her mind that Jimmy is her property. And she says to that Rogers girl she should stay off her property.
Anything else, Janine?
No. That is all.
Thank you. You've been very helpful. Come on in. Oh, hello, Jimmy.
Hello, Detective Troopshaw. Professor Wilkerson says you want to see me.
I have just a few questions that may or may not help clear up some of your problems.
My problems?
No, not yours personally, but the outfit.
But where's the problem?
Well, if those hands belong to Edith Rogers, it means she's... And that, I'd call a problem.
This whole thing's crazy. It's some kind of gag. I mean, it's not possible for a skeleton of someone who's been for over 2,000 years to have the hands of someone who was alive a week ago, or less.
Did you see Edith Rogers about a week ago?
Yes, ma'am.
I understood you were one of the very few who was sort of interested in Edith Rogers.
Well, I was sorry for her. She was lonely and frightened.
Did any of the others talk to you about her?
No, but Edith had a lot to say about us.
Can you give me some idea?
Edith thought Susan was a fake, that Janine was phony, and the rest of us pretty silly digging away in over 100 degrees temperature. She just didn't understand why we were doing it.
Didn't that make you wonder what she was doing here?
Oh, sure. But she was lonely, and she would have done anything to be anywhere. Oh, say, I almost forgot. Something funny happened this morning, and I meant to tell you about it, but with all the rumors and gossip, well, it just slipped my mind.
What was it?
On my way to the grid we're working on, I ran into this Indian, a really strange guy. He was dressed in some weird Mexican costume and had long drooping mustaches. And he asked me in this queer accent if I knew where Minnehaha was buried.
Minnehaha? Was he kidding?
Who knows? When I told him I didn't know, he became very sad. And he said his name was Tepexpan, and that his wife had died 10,000 years ago.
Tepexpan, no less.
The name's sort of familiar.
Oh, come on, Jimmy. Even I know that for years the Tepexpan man was considered the earliest specimen of man found in the United States.
Oh, of course.
What else did he say?
Now, let's see. Oh, I wrote it down here. Here it is. He said, "She who seeks shall find the answers in her mind if she can find the man that is called Tepexpan."
You're putting me on.
No, I'm not, honestly. And then he said that she would find the star of Tepexpan in the south of Tuxpan.
Can I have that paper, Jimmy?
Of course.
Thanks. Tepexpan, my foot. Wiley must be a genius to be able to drive this kidney buster. I can just about manage to keep the wheels straight. Now, where am I? Tuxpan. Ah, here it is, Tuxpan Avenue. Now turn south. How am I supposed to find the building? The Star of Tuxpan. Ah, lo and behold, a building with a star over the door.
Enter in peace, old ancient squaw.
I'll fix that one's teeth, pig. I was told you've been to the ancient burial ground.
You have been told well. I go to see my wife.
Is she one of the workers at the dig?
Oh, no, she toils no more. Your people toil for her.
Hit me with that one again.
She has been for over 10,000 years.
I thought it was 2,500. But what's a few years in a romance that lasted that long, right?
Her spirit gives me many answers to my prayers.
Do the answers to mine happen to be among them?
Well, if you open the pouch, I will place a magic message within.
Gracias, senor.
It is but the will of the gods that I obey.
Incidentally, Senor Tepexpan, the next time you speak to the spirits of the gods, find out the name in Indian for fruitcake.
As ancient squaw commands.
And take that silly toothpick out of your face.
Who's there?
Shirley Holmes.
Who? Oh, it's you, Detective.
I was just being cute, Miss Lathrop. Shirley, Sherlock Holmes, get it?
What's there to get cute about?
I see you're packing.
I'm leaving.
I'm sorry, Miss Lathrop, but you're not going anywhere.
Why not?
Because everyone stays put until I get the answers to a thing or two.
Such as?
If the body we found yesterday was Edith Rogers...
I told you it has to be Edith. They are her hands.
Attached to a prehistoric skeleton.
I don't care what the radiocarbon dating says. I was with her when she bought that wedding band.
She didn't say anything about when she planned to get married.
No.
And you didn't ask?
I thought she was clowning.
So she impressed you as the sort of person who would clown about getting married?
I guess she wasn't old-fashioned enough to be serious about it. But most of the girls here aren't into things like getting married. We don't have such hang-ups.
And Edith Rogers was a square. Very square. You must have found it a bore to room with her.
Frankly, she was a bit of a drag.
How did Janine get along with her?
They hardly spoke to each other.
Because of Wilkerson?
How did you know?
Do you think either of them got anywhere with him?
Janine was making points. Not that she's so hot, but her father's an important politician in France, and Wilkerson is impressed by that sort of thing.
Ambitious, eh?
Even at his age.
Oh, come on, Miss Lathrop. He's not that old.
Old enough to have a son who's in college. As a matter of fact, it was good old Edith Rogers who told me that.
Did she tell you anything else?
Nothing important.
Have you ever seen anything like that body before?
Never.
Think hard. Maybe an experiment done on an animal in a lab or in the dating shed?
No. Besides, I'm not allowed in the shed.
Why not?
I don't get to work on dating until next term.
Oh, I guess I'll have to take my own advanced course with Professor Wilkerson.
That's Janine.
I was waiting for the second moccasin to drop. Let's go.
It is written in the book of Proverbs, and wisely, I believe, that whoso diggeth a pit shall fall therein. Our problem is that all our characters are diggers in pits. Even our ardent detective Claudia Trubshaw has been digging through level after level, but getting seemingly nowhere. I'll be back shortly with Act 3.
There's nothing wrong with drinking Budweiser sip by sip, is there? Well, the brewers of Budweiser think there's a better way. Sipping's fine if you're drinking wine. But Bud is the king of beers, a hearty drink. Look, rinse a 10 or 12-ounce glass with cold water. Then open a can or bottle of Bud and pour it right down the middle so it kicks up a good head of foam. Now, take a big drink and then swallow big. No sips. That's how it should be done. More taste, more beer drinking enjoyment. Thanks to exclusive Beechwood aging, Budweiser has a smoothness that lets it go down especially easy. Sure, it's an expensive way to brew beer, but brewing beer right does make a difference. That's why, when you say Budweiser, you've said it all. Anheuser-Busch, St. Louis.
There's no satisfaction quite like the satisfaction of getting a bargain. It brings a smile to your face, partly because you've saved money, mainly because you've beat the system by paying less when everything seems to be costing more. Hi, I'm Frank Lieber. Right now, True Value hardware stores have 14 of those smiles of satisfaction in stock. They're kitchen helpers from Echo and from Foley. You can get 2 for just 88 cents. Choose a can and bottle opener, a fruit and vegetable slicer, or a serving fork, or get a nylon baster. Its tube is graduated for measurement. And there's a 2.5-inch strainer for making egg coffee, for straining loose tea, or for separating orange juice from its pulp and seeds. You can get 2 of these kitchen tools for just 88 cents. That should make you smile with satisfaction. You'll grin from ear to ear when you see the rest of the 2 for 88-cent bargains at the True Value hardware store near your home.
That the gunshot we heard at the end of the second act was the first time anyone has used a conventional weapon in our story? Well, gunshots may not only be used to signify someone's end, they may also be fired to start something.
Isn't that typical of a woman? Calls for help but doesn't bother to tell where she needs it.
It sounded far away. Maybe from the northern goods section.
You mean where the body was found?
Yes.
What could anyone be doing out there? Looking for clues?
Or maybe hiding somewhere.
Now, why didn't I think of that?
I don't know. I heard something go on.
There's our man.
You mean Professor Wilkerson?
Yes. Hey, Professor.
There's Detective over here.
There he is. He turned on his flash.
Professor, hold it a minute. Let me catch my breath. Did you hear Janine call?
No, I was covering grid S42. We were working late there. Are you sure it was Janine?
Pretty much, unless someone's imitating her accent. We don't know from where she called.
I think it came from that north grid.
First we heard what may have been a gunshot, and then we heard La Belle Janine calling for help.
Hey, has everyone around here gone bananas? They say they heard a gunshot.
Detective Troopshaw says Janine cried for help.
And where were you, Mr. Trumbull?
In the barracks, doing some research.
Well, anyway, the detective thinks that Janine is locked in somewhere.
Well, how about the lab shed?
A thinker in the tank. Come on. Who has the key to the shed?
I do, but you'll have to wait out here.
What for?
I'll have to go in first to check on possible radioactivity inside.
Just 1 second, Professor. Janine? Janine, are you in there?
Yes, I am.
Is it safe for us to come in?
Yes, it is very safe.
Oh, I got my key here on.
Oh, Professor.
That girl faints easier than I can think.
Janine, are you all right?
Don't ask her. She'll say no. Get her back inside. Now, for the rest of you, please, stay out here. Don't go anywhere, anyone.
Still planning to leave, Susan?
She wouldn't let me. Besides, what difference would it make to you if I did?
I'm just being friendly.
Isn't it a little too late?
What do you mean?
Well, now that Edith Rogers is, do you think I'd be waiting around to catch you on the rebound?
Oh, look, I was just being kind to her.
Kind? Isn't there a phrase about someone being killed with kindness?
What are you getting at?
Now listen, James Trumbull. Because Edith Rogers was a fool doesn't mean all girls are.
No one ever said you were. Look, the only reason I took her out a couple of times was because the professor asked me to.
Aren't you the obedient student? What professors say, Jimmy do.
I don't know how else I can convince you.
You can't. And if I were you, I wouldn't try. Look, you can count on my being fair and keeping quiet. I'm not out for revenge. But I'm also not about to stick my neck out for anyone, including you.
I still don't know what you're getting at.
I'm getting at who killed Edith Rogers.
I don't know why it is, Professor, but I've never seen a woman in a faint whose legs didn't look lousy.
Oh, what happened?
That did it. It always does.
Janine.
I don't want to interrupt, but like a good archaeologist, would someone please get to the bones of the matter?
I'm speaking as fast as I know. I heard a noise at the window.
What kind of noise?
The window was opening.
Wasn't it locked?
It's always locked.
So I went to see what could be happening, and already there was this man climbing inside.
What was he like?
He was an old Indian man with long mustaches. I told him to get out, that it was dangerous to be here.
And then?
He would not say anything, but stood there. So I ran back to the lab room where I have my pistol. And when I returned, I found him in the specimen room. He had a leather bag tied around his waist. It was open.
Did you see him put anything in it?
No, but I held up the pistol and told him I would shoot if he didn't put back whatever he took. So he put his hand in the bag and took something out and threw it in my eyes. Then I pressed the pistol.
What did he throw?
Little things. I don't know.
Let's take a look.
All right. Now, wait. Here on the floor. It's thin slivers. It's maybe wood.
Let's take a closer look.
No, don't touch them.
For heaven's sakes, why not?
They may be hot. I'll get the counter.
Is anything missing, Miss Boulanger?
I have not looked.
Well, do that little thing. And, Miss Boulanger, the next time you find that you're stuck in here, just open the lock and walk out. Okay, folks, time has come to stop playing games.
What kind of games?
The game where one hand washes the other. Now, since you've got seniority, Professor, we'll start with you.
What kind of a game could I possibly be playing?
Well, as a professor, you're a great show. As a poker player, you're stupid.
Oh, really?
You don't know how to bluff. Remember how you insisted that spear point Wiley took from the shed had to be radioactive? Well, you were lying.
How dare you?
When it comes to the truth, Professor, I'm very daring. That spear point was in perfect condition. If it had been dated, a piece of it would have had to be missing.
How could you know that?
What do you think they teach us at the police academy? Home economics? Now, putting it simply, the less carbon-14 in an object, the older it is, right?
That is correct.
And the older, the more valuable.
Sure, that's what we're here for. To find evidence leading back to the first human being in America.
And when you can't find it? Well, then you can fake it, can't you?
What do you mean, Detective?
There's no dating equipment in that shed.
You are preposterous.
Wait till you hear how preposterous I really am. Only 2 people have been allowed in that shed. You and Miss Boulanger.
Yes, those are the rules.
Well, a certain friend of mine broke those rules. Senor Tepex Pan, if you please.
Fancy, how about that?
Now, if you'll just get rid of those tired handlebars from under your nose.
Glad to. They sure itch.
Wiley.
This here is...
The one who asked me questions about Edith.
Right. And he got into that shed not to take things, but to return them. Didn't you, Wiley?
I sure did.
But, what did you take that had to be put back?
That old spear point and the nozzle on that machine.
The head? The bombarding head?
And I took them both to Tucson to have the experts there take a look at them.
And they confirmed my best suspicions. Professor Wilkerson, you and Miss Boulanger were faking your specimens, making them older.
That's one accusation I won't buy.
You can always return it for credit when I open that department. Meanwhile, you were bombarding those specimens repeatedly, trying to get them to date more than 50,000 years.
Professor, did you do that? I just can't believe it.
Why not, Trumbull? You invented the machine.
Well, only by accident. It was a fluke.
And you told your esteemed professor about that fluke, and he told you to keep it under wraps.
Yes, I did keep it under wraps. I never wrote a paper.
Well, how'd they know about it in Tucson?
Well, I sent them a report, but only for their opinion.
Trumbull, you're a damn fool.
You know, Professor, you're just plain not nice. Here we girls spend fortunes trying to keep young, while you try to make a fortune aging us. Which brings me to Edith Rogers. Of those present, only Wilkerson, Trumbull, and Miss Boulanger knew how to operate that machine.
Oh, no, wait.
They ought to be arrested at once.
You'd like that, Miss Lathrop, wouldn't you? It leaves your hands clean, so to speak.
Now, listen, Detective, I had no reason...
Getting her pregnant and being blackmailed to marry her isn't a reason? Come off, Professor.
He did? The professor?
Surprised, aren't you, Miss Lathrop?
But why would I want to hurt that Edith Rogers?
You knew she had something on the professor, else she wouldn't have been here. But when you heard about the wedding ring, you thought you just might lose not only your professor, but more importantly, that machine.
I'm sorry. What's going on here? I'm all lost.
So am I, Trumbull, when it comes to you. I can't figure what you had to do with all this.
Well, he may not be that innocent. He did try and make time with Edith Rogers until she dumped him.
Well, that's not true, Susan.
You're calling me a liar? I think you and your 2 pals are all to blame for that girl's death. You all deserve to be murdered.
And this time, Miss Lathrop, you'd do it properly, wouldn't you?
What are you talking about?
Trumbull, did you ever tell Susan here about the machine?
Well, yes, sort of, but not how to work it. I hadn't finished it then.
But she was smart enough to know how it could be used.
You're just guessing.
True. But then came the monkey wrench. Trumbull began dating Edith Rogers.
I didn't care.
Not until she bought that wedding band. Now, why would that girl buy her own ring? You know why. Because no woman would go to a doctor for that kind of an examination without the necessary decoration on her finger.
What's that to do with me?
While Janine thought it was the professor, you thought it was Jimmy Trumbull, who might be the father. First, you threatened Edith Rogers. But when Jimmy tried seeing her again, you took no chances of ever losing that machine, and you just removed her from the scene.
You're crazy.
Not crazy enough to use a machine I knew nothing about, because that's what you did. You know, your biggest mistake was in tying Edith Rogers' hands over her head before opening that machine full blast. Those hands were protected by the lead shield over her head.
Of course. Only the lead shield could have saved those hands, kept them from dating back.
The result? A 2,500-year-old skeleton with Edith Rogers' hands.
Okay, Detective. Who saw me? Where's your proof?
Yours were the only fingerprints found on the bombarding head Wiley took to Tucson.
Susan, you didn't work that machine without gloves, without protection.
Why? What's wrong with that?
Oh, good Lord. You didn't.
What are you saying?
Oh, no. Your body's probably got more than 600 radioactive units in it right now.
You're trying to scare me. It's not true.
Susan, 400 units are fatal.
Help me. Someone help me. Or I die. Help me. Help. Help.
Obviously, Miss Susan Lathrop got a dose of the same medicine she gave Edith Rogers. Except in her case, its effects will be much slower and very much more painful. Sad. Very sad. But it will save the state a great deal of money. I'll be back shortly.
Well, it's all right to tell one lie, isn't it?
You can't.
Then how about lying just a little bit?
Not a little bit.
You mean you can never lie?
Never.
Well, why not?
Because when you tell a lie,
Yeah.
it gets dark inside your heart.
You mean that just one lie will make your heart dark?
It makes you sad, too.
Oh, then what should you do if you tell a lie?
Well, you just say I'm sorry.
And then what?
Then the light goes inside your heart.
Oh, the light goes on?
Yeah.
Oh, a light doesn't really go on in your heart, does it?
Yes, it does.
Well, how do you know?
Because the light in your heart will shine in your eyes.
Oh.
And then you'll be happy.
I wonder why people tell lies.
I wonder why, too.
From the Franciscans, with love.
Here's a little thought to take to sleep with you. Never indulge in excesses. Eat moderately, drink moderately, and murder moderately. Our cast included Louise Larrabee, Mason Adams, Ralph Bell, Corinne Orr, Ann Costello, and Christopher Tabori. The entire production was under the direction of Hyman Brown. Now, a preview of our next tale.
I saw the glowing tips of 2 flip cigarettes. And then...
Kiss me, Richard.
I'm crazy about you.
Stop it! Stop it!
Tom!
What are you...
Marianne, go inside. Go inside, I tell you.
Now, wait a minute.
Why? If you have anything to say, you can say it here in front of Richard.
Go inside.
Let go of my arm.
Now, listen, you leave her alone. Let go of her. He broke my grip on her arm and pushed me away. His shove made me slip to my knee. I came up swinging at his face and missed. He pinned my arms from behind.
Now, listen, what's the matter with you? Are you crazy?
I broke out of his grip, stepped back from him, and fell across the shovel. I grabbed the handle, jumped up.
No!
And swung at Emery. Too late for me to stop the swing.
No!
As she rushed in between us, the sharp edge of the shovel hit her in the back of the head. I stood there, holding the shovel, unable to move.
Radio Mystery Theater was sponsored in part by Anheuser-Busch Incorporated, brewers of Budweiser. This is E.G. Marshall inviting you to return to our Mystery Theater for another adventure in the macabre. Until next time, pleasant dreams.